welcome
Anywho,
world. We're playing
storyteller, tell us a
also
story.
dragons. I'll get the way so we can see the screen. I'm playing Jory Didlington.
Jory Didlington.
I'm a paladin. I'm a paladin, but you wouldn't know it to see me because you'd think I was a monk, but I'm not that sort of monk, if you know what I mean.
Indeed. All right, so last session, the group basically spent their first evening in Gallender City. Some of you stayed at the inn. Some of you went out to the center of town to check out the arena. That was Verde and Ombois, where they met Salas and Laris, the twins who run the local fighter stable.
The arena, right?
Yeah.
I forgot dude was a little drone bot, dude.
Huh?
The Golem guy. I forgot he was of that sort.
What Golem guy?
In the picture of the artificer, there's a little floating robot.
What picture are you talking about?
The one that's on screen that you put on screen. Did I click that on accident? Did I do that?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
So right at the time that you were like, you met this person and this person, I was looking for the correct map to throw on screen, and I must have accidentally clicked on something because it showed a picture of two people, and I was like, did you do that? Are those the people? That's not familiar.
Yeah, no, I wish I had art, but no.
We're looking for the Gallender map?
Gallender City, yep.
That's what I thought.
If you click the bottom to filter to shared, it should be in your list.
Okay. Cool, we're good. Also, let's get some ambiance up in here.
Yeah, I totally could.
Add them to us or something?
Yeah, just like the party. Yeah, I could totally do that.
Well, I was gonna say, sorry, I didn't have my mic open. I didn't say anything else to chat yet. Hello, viewers and everybody, by the way. No, you just do it in Hero Forge, and then you throw on like a what's it called filter, like a little cell shading filter or something.
Right. Make it painterly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. All right. Yeah. So, YOLO, among the things that you learned was that there is a schedule if you want to fight at the Pugnatorium.
Sign up is at 11 rings the bell, and fights start at 22 rings the bell.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. I was gonna tell the guys that before we go and meet Dude Meisterton in the floating castle of doom, that perhaps we could let me sign up.
Right.
I forgot where Dude Meister is supposed to be, what the actual castle is called, but
I mean, Floating Castle of Doom is not that far off. It's called the Hanging Citadel.
Yeah.
We all know what you mean when you say that.
I mean, to be fair, the Floating Castle of Doom is actually later in the campaign, but you know.
Do we get to ride a Zardo's head there?
Right, exactly. Damn it, spoilers.
I was
Dude,
seeing some stuff about
the new Twitch feature where you can hover over the emote and it like shows what it says. Like it blows it all up. That's sick.
Nice. There's somebody with a picture of Zardo saying, "All right," or the floating head saying, "This has got to be some sort of warlock patron."
That's awesome.
Like, all right, well, you're gonna have kind of like a hex blade, except no hex, and you're gonna have innate mage armor, but you're gonna only be able to wear a maximum of 5 pounds of clothes, and you can kind of summon guns.
Right, Pact of the Gun. I think is what that subclass is called.
You have proficiency, and then I was thinking, well, fuck. At that point, you might as well just make him a berserker.
Right.
Like some sort of barbarian class.
That's awesome.
Or you like ticking clock?
Okay. Watson and Phelan, you spent the evening with Grolf and his wife Tiesta, the Jaguar folk who run the Weeping Wind. You exchanged some cooking tips. You learned how to cook in the Beast Folk style. You learned some recipes for a few different things. Also, like I said earlier, you guys shared a bottle of Seaberry wine with Grolf and Tiesta before you called it a night. Which is where I'm happy to pick up, or we can pick up the following morning. That's up to you guys.
Is there anything else that we need to do tonight? Is anyone wanting to do some night crawling?
I just made sure that YOLO got home safe after everything and after our talks and all that, and then probably crashed.
Is there any kind of night crawling you would want me to do while you are asleep, Watson?
What sort of curfew or whatever is there here, Rolf?
Well, he says, scratching his chin, there's not a curfew per se. You might run afoul of the city guard. They patrol the streets at night. But if you're not doing anything wrong, they might search you or hassle you, but it's not a crime to be on the streets.
Oh, all right. Well, I would say for tonight, maybe let's stay in and not do night crawling because we want to probably establish our rapport with the local authority before we think about doing sneaky stuff like that.
Yeah, let's maybe, like suss out the city before we do crimes.
What?
No, the idea is not doing crimes. It's just kind of learning more about the city. I understand that. It's just that if there's city guards around, as sneaky as we might think we are, and all the stealth games and everything we've played, it's not worth the risk of running afoul of the city guard, getting, cut up and all that stuff. And then
We're to make
then,
conversation
then when they start
up in our rooms, right? Not in front of Ralph.
No, we're probably at our table, I would assume, at the end.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine for them to hear this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should just retire for the night.
Are we actually in the inn right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, chilling at a table, right? Talking?
No, I mean, the inn's not open. You
We
guys
are in
are
our
actually
rooms.
in the kitchen.
We're just hanging out in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, chef table style.
We have permission, right?
Yeah, as I was saying a moment ago,
I thought you said.
and Watts spent their evening cooking with the owners of the inn.
Right, hanging with the inn. So so we're just hanging out in the kitchen after the fact. They've all gone to bed, and
Right. Right.
YOLO and I came back to find our compatriots chilling.
They were just sitting down to open this bottle of Seaberry wine as you came through the door.
Oh well, fucking A. Let's sit and have a sip and talk about our day.
That's effectively what happened. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's what we
alright.
did. Yeah.
All right, good.
All right.
I want to say when we were opening that bottle, weren't given the bottle. He was actually sharing it between me, him, his wife, and basically all of us. Or
Right.
in the
It's
location.
his. Yeah, he's controlling that bottle. It's his bottle, but he has definitely poured you all glasses, and he'll refill them if you ask.
I'm actually really curious about sea berries and would like to find out more about them eventually. It's quite a refreshing flavor.
Everyone else has gone to bed at this point, though.
Anyone else staying at the inn is
Yeah. It's pretty late at this point. It's like 1 or 2 in the morning Earth time.
Right. Well, that's because we were out at the arena till it closed, essentially, right?
Well, you guys were out. Like, you got there late to begin with, so.
Okay.
The arena's fights, which you now know start at 10 p.m., were already underway when you got to the arena.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we got there super late. Probably saw only a couple bouts, and then we're done.
I thought you guys went to a separate place where you
Right.
did
You
the,
guys
the
ultimately didn't
fisticuffs.
go watch the fights.
That's
in
right,
the
we
arena.
left.
You went to the stable at was it Salus's recommendation?
Yeah, I remember we left, and I just stayed with YOLO.
Is this the truth?
Cool. Let's drink some wine, and then let's retire. And then what are we doing tomorrow?
Well, you guys do have a job technically.
Yeah, I thought the plan was going to be sign up for any bouts or anything that we were going to do related to the fights in the morning,
And then suss the city. In the
and
meantime,
then go deliver the thing, and then come back to do our fights. And I know there's going to be some early fights and some late fights, so we'll figure out all the scheduling on that. You know, do the thing.
all right. Yeah, well, in that case, I'm down to retire.
All right. Let me click the long rest button for you all.
They put some green wood in that fire if it's cracking them like that.
Oh, you mean on the bot?
Bots
Yep.
the ambiance.
You're
And
not
we put-
wrong, but
And we
that is
we
some
put the
green
greenwood
wood.
we put the greenwood on the fire so that when we slept, it would stay burning all night.
Right, right. And that way you could be kept awake by it snapping at you all.
It's constant fucking popping. And snapping. Yeah, I'm pretty sure what that is Sirenscape wants you to be really extra aware that there's a fire burning in the room you're in right now.
Right, and not just like hiss in your headphones, right? Totally. Okay.
Like some sort of really flinty tar on a torch or something.
Oh yeah, totally. Actually, that's
This loop
actually
is
pretty
called,
useful for that. Yeah.
This loop is called Fireplace, and it is in the Friendly Tavern set.
Okay, so it's just green wood and a fireplace.
Just
then,
green wood and a fireplace. They're a tavern. They're very friendly. They run out of wood a lot, so they're constantly just getting it from the woods nearby. Doesn't have time to properly cure. You know how to.
There is
Right,
no
right.
woods nearby. Like, at least on this map.
Yeah. In fact, there's really not a lot of woods around anywhere. In fact, most of the buildings you see are stonework of one kind or another.
My assumption is that they get their firewood from the sea. It comes from somewhere else. It's a commodity, and they burn it because it's proper to have a fireplace in your inn and to offer your guests a fireplace.
Right. I mean, yeah, they obviously do get firewood. So there must be some sort of trade in lumber.
Also, hence the low quality uncured firewood.
Right, because you're not going to pay somebody to import really expensive wood just to burn it.
Just to
Right, but I would think some curing would naturally happen in transit from A to B. Like, it would have been dry.
Maybe.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I guess it depends on how it got there and how far away the source was.
Address your concerns to Sirenscape. I think it's like maybe 2 people or 3 people at that company. Because they gave us all
Yeah. No, more horrifying.
Also,
the wood itself
they
is
don't-
probably
they
wood itself
don't,
is probably dry, but like
right.
there's so much creosote in the chimney pipe.
Right, it still burns and pops. Yeah, and actually, Sirenscape does not support this this stream. That said, I find their software awfully cool.
Yeah, it's definitely useful.
Well, it's what gives you our audioscapes when I provide them on this channel.
Right.
Because I'm using Sirenscape Fantasy, and that's entirely within the rights of the license you get when you buy Sirenscape. And I've purchased, I don't know, quite a few of their little modules, actually.
Yeah, because you found it useful.
It's good for these games.
Right. So
Especially
yeah,
since
what
I can pipe it into the Discord. Now that you guys can hear what I'm doing, that's so much cooler.
it's definitely at least we're all in the loop now, right? Like before you would talk about your sound effects, and if we didn't have the stream on, we would have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But now when you cast spells, the spells make noise.
Right. Or when you're in a tavern, you can hear shitty firewood.
Correct.
The one other
okay.
tidbit that we talked about, but wasn't during the stream, was the that this was the third fire that wiped out. After the third fire that wiped out Gallender, the stables that Salas and Laris was one of the few, buildings that stood.
Yeah, the Belchers are not necessary.
Yeah.
Here we were finishing up.
Also, where did the belch come from?
Us, we were drinking and then we had finished up.
We're not drinking carbonated beverage.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, wine's not really a bourbon drink.
At all.
Ale?
Well, you're not.
We're not drinking
There
ale.
was no ale. It was just the wine, I suppose.
Seaberry
Sorry,
wine, refreshing. It makes you burp.
Right. It's like garlic wine. You get a Gilroy,
I'm going all squinty eye on y'all now.
All right. The night passes uneventfully. That said, you don't really get to sleep all that long. Like you don't make it all the way to 10 in the morning. I mean, you get your full long rest. Don't worry about that. But this piece of town, you realize, bustles in the morning. And in fact, just across the street are smiths and carpenters and stonemasons, and man, they get started at like 8 in the morning.
Well, all right. That's the industrial alarm. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit louder than that. A little dingier. Got a blacksmith sound there. I guess let's stroll on over to the arena and sign up first, or breakfast first, or sign up should be pretty quick and tell them to start breakfast, or
Yeah, the arena signups are at 11. You guys end up getting woken up at 8, so you got like about 3 hours. So there's time for breakfast and stuff first.
all right, probably breakfast and all that fun stuff.
All right, well,
give me 1 second. I need to roll a d3.
A D3.
Oh, I know why.
Alien, you wake up to YOLO looking over your body creepily.
Hey, what's going on?
I cannot feel my own breath when I sleep. I thought this would get me to sleep, but instead I went into what could be called a torpor, and I've been awake for hours since.
Oh,
Just sitting in the dark.
shit.
Yep. Sitting in the dark, basically at the foot of her bed, and then like because
Right.
she's waking up now I'm just like peering over, like
That anime where the dude reanimated all those different people, and there's the one. He made them all into a girl band.
I was going to say, you're talking about the legendary Tayamata.
I think I was, yeah. You and I watched it. It's where the dude resurrected 5 different girls from different time periods and made them into an idol band.
Yeah, the Saga Project, dude. That anime is amazing.
That anime is fucking amazing, but one of them is like a complete fucking zombie, except when she isn't.
Yeah, the legendary Tayamata. Exactly.
That's the one. Yeah, the legendary Tayamata. Yeah, you are essentially being that person right now.
Oh, only for 3 hours. I couldn't go to sleep, and so I tried to go to sleep, and then I went into this weird torpor where I kind of blacked out. And then you waking up sort of triggered something, and I was standing over you.
Yeah, snapped out of it.
Well, good morning. That sounds like an awkward way to sleep, but hey, you're like super powerful in other ways, so it's cool.
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. Like, what else would you have done with the time? Read a book or something?
Reflect on the self.
I mean, I'm not asking.
Which
This is
self
like a
are you
rhetorical
today,
question.
YOLO?
Like literally, if you had that time back, would you have even done anything with it, or you just been like, whatever?
I think it's more concerning that I blacked out for 3 hours.
That is concerning, I suppose, since that's a new feature for you, isn't it?
I mean, I wanted to go to sleep. I don't know if it was more like my want to drink, even though I can't get drunk, or what that was, but I couldn't go to sleep, you know.
I see. Could you have had one of your other minds tell you a nighttime story to help you get to sleep or something? Like the librarian, I'm sure knows plenty of stories.
Shit gives me a headache sometimes.
I can see how that would be a downside.
I mean, kind of like noisy and confusing in my head sometimes.
Does it kind of feel like the sound of that chanting from Control? The hiss incantation?
What?
You remember the game Control?
Maybe?
Did you ever play that? That one that was free on Epic Game Store?
No.
No? Oh shit. Well, never mind. It's a fun game. It'll come up again for free. I guess that doesn't help us now.
You hear?
Yep. Groff and Tiesta, greet you as you come downstairs. They will happily make dinner for you, or I guess breakfast. My bad.
I mean, they just have Taborfish for every meal, don't they?
Pretty much. I mean, you gave them some pointers overnight, so they've been trying some new stuff this morning.
Nice. I'm glad to try that out.
You realize that what you're basically looking at is like stir fry, I guess.
Hell yeah.
A fry up, but in this particular case, it's like onions, grasses, some kind of poultry, some kind of white meat, for what it's worth. You're guessing poultry from the flavor.
Yeah.
And a like brown sauce that you realize is not their typical like curry spices that you're used to, but instead is more like gosh, what's the best way to put it? It's more like a salty, like it's not soy exactly, so maybe like Worcestershire sauce. You know what I mean? Like it's like a brown sauce.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Like
Brown gravy or some
a
sort?
thin, flavorful, salting. Well,
It's obviously got some kind of like fish base to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got to be something that they already had things that were pre-pickled, where they were just able to, the way you do some of those sorts of things is that you've got the barrels that you pack full of whatever it is, salt, maybe chili flakes and spices, and then the liquid that floats up to the top is what you scoop off to, use as your sauce.
Use as a base,
No,
right?
that's
Yep, I get you.
that's like that's how you get your soy sauce and your fish sauce and shit like that.
Gotcha. Yep, totally.
So, or garum, I think, is basically the same process. So
right.
I can imagine they've got like a variety of those in some well-sealed room that you can't smell in the rest of the place, hopefully. because golly, that's gonna fucking stay.
Right.
But that's that aside, and of course the sensitive noses of everybody coming through there will totally detect it too. So that might even be a separate room that they've got somewhere. But
Right, exactly.
I'd imagine they're experimenting with using that in this sort of way here.
Yeah, like you can tell that they're trying the new sorts of like mixers of like sweet and savory that you were talking about, with what they've got basically.
Nice.
And in fact, as you're eating, Tiesta pops her head out, and she says, "Well,
Yeah, these are some
I like it. It's tasty.
pretty amazing flavors. I like
Good
what
enough.
you've done with it. Now
Good enough, Tiesta. I appreciate it.
I have to ask you though, Tiesta, do you like how it tastes? Because I appreciate trying to do everything to cater for us, but I want to make sure it's something that you yourself would enjoy."
She smiles, puts a hand like on her chest, and she says, "It's so good."
Okay, all right. Well, I am really, really thrilled that you've been able to kind of, just make this change of things overnight. You've got years and years to make all sorts of new and fun and interesting sort of stuff. This is merely the beginning. I'm really excited to see what you folks do.
She beams, and she says, "Thank you. Any other time that you want to share tips, you're always welcome here."
Yeah, any time I'm not too beat up and we're staying here, I'd be happy to. No idea how long we're going to be in the area, but if we get a chance, definitely make a point of coming around when we can.
She smiles as she skips back into the back of the house.
Place your money on me in the arena.
Act like a civilized person. Chew, swallow, then speak.
Choking.
You can't joke.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wait.
I gotta ask, how are you feeling today, Yolo? Are you feeling more barbaric? Are you feeling more library-ish? Or are you feeling a little more like the stoner fencer barista?
It's just one period in my life, but I mean, that's a hard question.
I mean, does it change from day to day, or do you just kind of embrace the milieu of being some sort of like cishet three spirit sort of thing? I don't even know if I can use that term. I apologize, everybody. I probably did not use that in any respectful sort of manner. And I'm laughing, but I do apologize.
I don't know. See, what is being conscious? Like I've been aware that there are certain behaviors that might appear shocking, but I ask myself, am I committing these behaviors because, basically in Skyrim, but real life. This is my life, but also that's what I'm supposed to do, right? Right. If I'm barbarian stat sheet, then I'm supposed to go and whack the thing until it kills it, or until it dies. Rage.
Yep, that's Verde.
But I mean, I'm also very philosophical.
Yep, that's Verde. That's why I said that. It's like when I started hearing the philosophical stuff, it's like, yeah, that's the philosophical.
Well, our characters are who we are, right? Just enrobed in the in the skins that we were like, well, I guess we'll be this. all informed
Friday's
by.
is a little more complicated just because he has a trifecta to work with.
Indeed, but all of us chose something we weren't, that wasn't our actual wheelhouse, and then became us in the skin of that wheelhouse.
Oh no,
Genius,
I'm
by the
sorry.
way.
I'm sorry.
Genius.
You misinterpret me. Anything that I have like pre-rolled and generated in like theory over the past however long, and theory crafted what they can be and how they can work, I've essentially already made, and I've essentially already like run the numbers on what they can and can't do. So this is merely the exercise of actually acting it out, and it happens to be in a real life setting for me now, so that's fucking perfect. Like being a super tanky druid, this is awesome. This is awesome.
Hey, I was gonna say, I don't know, like if it's awesome or if it isn't. I mean, if the alternative is being dead because a truck ran me over, which apparently is what happened, then I guess I'll take this. But bro, I'm a rabbit.
That's truxomedy.
We can get okay. I think
I
druids
stroke
actually.
my ears. I stroke my ears and twitch my fucking nose. I'm a fucking rabbit, bro. You knew me.
Well, yeah, you were also a rabbit. You identified as a rabbit, so now you actually you've got the rabbit tattoos, all the stuff from SF0, like
okay, fair.
Like don't you fuck with me. You've told us how much
who
the
do
rabbit
I fuck
is your
with in
life.
this world? I'm a rabbit. I got rabbit.
Isn't the rabbit even on your fucking SCA sigils?
100% yes.
Okay, so you're the rabbit. So you're the rabbit now. You're not Usagi Yojimbo. You're the rabbit. You're
Usagi Yojimbo's dope, by the way, and there's a fucking Netflix series, but it's labeled as kids, so I haven't watched it yet. But they rebooted it for Netflix.
Our family has both tattooed rabbits.
Yeah.
On our bodies.
Rabbits are a thing. I love them.
Well, you're a son of a rabbit. It's just like a whole bunch of other things going on with you too. Because you got to be the double isekai, which is just so great. Like I love that you decided on that.
I know. I thought that was funny.
I had no idea it was happening. I swear.
YOLO, you had the night before asked Gralf about Salas and Laris' stable, right?
Oh yeah, I definitely did, and I would have also been like, "Yo, wouldn't that mean they're like 80 years old?"
Yeah. So to recap, for the folks who weren't yet listening, what he told you was that he calls it a stable, but I mean it's a dojo, right? But like their dojo was the oldest building of the city, in that it had been the only building that had survived the last time the city had burned down, which was the third time the city had burned down, which was about, he thinks, 80 years ago, but it was before his time, he warned. Also, he says the most spectacular was, the most spectacular burning of the town was at the end of the onslaughts, when demons actually razed the town. And then we didn't finish that conversation, so
Yeah.
I wanted to give you the opportunity to bring it up again if you had other questions.
Yeah, wouldn't that make the twins like 80 years old?
He actually laughs when you ask that question, and he says, "I bet they're older than that." And he sort of leans over the bar and motions you over, and he says, "They're ogres, right?"
What?
He says, "Oh yeah, or half ogres, I guess." And he kind of rolls his eyes at that. He's like, the way he says it, you kind of get the impression that he's like, "Yeah, they ain't half bullshit,"
They want to say it down, so they're half.
I ain't getting any kind of prepper bullshit with that, so I'm just gonna straight up be honest. I'm like, I have no idea what that entails.
anybody who was there can roll insight if they would like. That includes you, Verde. Jory.
Yeah.
You don't hear the word ogre.
Oh, what word do I hear?
You hear the word oni.
Oh. Huh. What was the sentence again?
He said, they're ogres, you know. And then he rolled his eyes and said, half, I guess.
Oni. Wait, I'm weeb enough to know that means demon-ish, sort of, right?
Depending on where you're at, Onis are a different thing than.
That's
They're
a little
spirit.
racist, Steven. Yeah.
That's a little racist, right? They're a spirit type, though. They're not a kami. They're an oni, but an oni is
Right. But they're not an akuma. They're not a demon.
they're not
You
an
know.
akuma. Exactly. Right. Yes. Yes. Look, dude, I don't speak this natively or even well at all. So, again, so I just go, oh, okay. Well, I don't realize that the other people heard ogre and I heard oni.
Right. But you heard oni. You did not hear ogre.
Okay.
Well, I did.
All right.
I did say, what does being an ogre entail?
Yeah, I will say, huh, and cock my head.
Uh,
And that's all. And listen and keep listening.
Yeah, so if you ask him what it means to be an ogre, he kind of stops
he
for
say-
a second.
Does YOLO say oni or ogre?
Oh, when he speaks it back, you mean?
Correct.
He says oni.
He says oni also?
Yes.
Oh my god, what the fuck? All right, well then I wouldn't know better, so I'm just gonna keep watching.
Right. Yeah, so Graf kind of like scrunches his and knits his brow at that and thinks about how to answer that question because that's not a question anybody's asked him before. And he says, well, they're mountain spirits. And he stumbles over that and he says, but
It's more
they live to
Wait.
fight.
Don't you mean Onis? Ogres are like big muscle-bound people that have like no intelligence.
okay. Shit. Now what did I hear?
You heard that sentence exactly as he said it. Gralf looks at you, Watson, and he says, right. Onis, not ogres. That's what I said.
I heard ogre first.
He shakes his head.
Heard oni. I'm just gonna raise my paw. I heard oni. You were always talking about oni. Weren't you all always talking? Where did
I
ogres
know.
come into this?
Somehow I heard ogre too, but if it's oni, it's an oni.
It's the end. It's early. It's noisy. I could have easily misheard.
Switch my nose
Interesting.
because I'm a rabbit.
Genuine question: ogres do exist, right?
Yes, they do. Like, in fact, the way he answered your question, it was clear that they exist.
Okay.
So he meant oni and not ogre, and I never heard anything but oni.
Right. You want to roll me insight there, Jory?
Absolutely. Roll.
I mean, I had a pretty good fight with them last night.
I got
Ogres didn't
nothing.
do much for them.
Wait,
Yeah,
does it also mean yokai are real?
Where's my fucking? Sorry.
Did you say that out loud?
Yes.
Yeah. He looks at you and he says, "Yeah, of
Well,
course."
of course, right?
I'm used to different wordings and all. That's
So,
Yeah.
does that mean there's kappas that we need to watch our asses in the river?
He laughs at that. He's like, "Those are stories, Fred."
Okay, you said that.
But those were
now I
yokai
kinda
that
think
were
they're
real.
Oh, beautiful! I like that color. Very nice.
He the way he looks at you when he says that is pure. What the fuck, dude? And he says, what's the let me hold on a second. Let me get the right words.
He has to channel the
Are you
character.
pulling our tail?
No, he says they've been here ever since the maw opened.
Maw. Hey, you guys.
Oh, you mean like the demon
It's a
maw?
Rift's clone. It's a Rift's clone. It's Stargate, guys. There's a maw.
He says, he looks at you and he says, the devil's maw. There's
Right.
only
Yeah.
the one.
Do the demons come out of it?
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, he turns to you and he says, yeah, the yokai.
Come out of the devil's maw. Is there a prophecy?
I show
How
him.
do you seal the devil's maw?
No, I show him the skull.
So you guys, let's make a bard crew called the Devil's Maw. We're gonna do it.
I show him the skull, the fiendish skull codpiece that I got. Like these guys, right?
Yeah, he looks at you. He looks down at your codpiece. He looks at you and he says, "That's not real, right?
Ah, it's very real.
You've fought yokai before?
Absolutely not. No, I found this in a cave.
Ah, lucky find that. If you'd found it still alive, you might not be here to tell that tale."
Yeah.
We're working on it. I'm sure at some point we'll have to be tough enough to take them down.
I sing that like rah 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 like totally just rock that out for a second as a total asshole joke.
I mean, it would be totally funny if we were like destined to close the maw or something like that.
I mean, if you think back, you were kind of told that in a way.
Right.
We're supposed to seal the maw, right?
Well, you're supposed to deal with the demon lord.
Oh, that's right.
Yo, so Gralf, I got a question for you.
I love that there's capital infernal characters. That makes me laugh so hard.
Are you spiritual?
Gralf looks around the room before he answers and he says, "I'm a member of the church," in that, "What the fuck are you asking for" kind of way.
I see. Especially since I was just rocking out in infernal.
My friend has no tact. He just wants to...
Oh no, I just like if you were told by your higher power that you should work on the closing of the maw, what would your first steps be? Like how would you drop your life and go about helping?
Jory is essentially an asshole.
Gralf thinks about it for a minute and he says, "Well, I suppose if I was the destined hero, I would go through all the steps. I would probably confer with the elves. Maybe I would go to Demir's Tower. Eventually, I would have to make my way to the maw itself. I don't know how one closes a continent, though."
That's a lot of steps that you seem to have skipped, though. You said there are more than one steps.
You guys
with elves,
make us
Demir's
maw
Tower.
rats.
He stops and he says, "Well, in all of the tales of heroes, there's always the steps that they take to gain the power that they need. He points, at the inn around him. He says, "I'm a simple man. Mind you, I will once again reiterate that he's also like an 8.5 foot tall jaguar man,
Right.
Right? Who could rip a person apart without breaking a sweat.
Oh, the steps. Oh, this is where I reject the call.
Yeah, no, I was actually gonna say,
And
tell me if one of those steps is that we like have a literal or metaphorical death and rebirth or something. And then
my version was better. My version was better.
He said, like, talk to elves and towers of Demura.
This is where we reject the call. Pour me
Most
another
likely,
drink.
it's once we find the elves, we'll have to prove our worth to the elves because they just don't confer with anyone.
Is
Same
there
with
a
the tower.
prophecy? Can I learn a poem or something?
he he laughs at that and he says, "There's only stories. There's no prophecy, but
Jory is cackling.
in every onslaught, a hero rises, and when the hero rises, there are the steps. They seek absolution so that they can rise again. They consult with the powers, the steps."
Who
You have a
are
question. Let
these
me ask you a
powers?
question. Do you have children?
Oh God,
No,
guys,
no,
Ralph and
no, I
Tiesta do not have children.
Oh, they do. They
but I
don't.
mean,
Oh, do
who
you
are
know
they?
the story of Little Bunny
Powers.
Foo Foo?
it's Omi.
No.
Stop.
Okay.
Who are the powers? You said elves. I'm gonna assume that they are some of the powers.
Well, these days, I mean, there's really not many left. And he makes a gesture, though you didn't quite recognize it, but you could tell from the way it was made that it was a practice gesture that was in some way a motion to the sky, a sort of like flip of the hand. And he says, I mean, there's the gods, there's the elves,
In Talar,
there's
right?
right. He nods at you, and he says, everyone else is young, like us beast folk or you humans. And he sort of points to the city at large.
Any ancient wizard?
That would be in the Ghostlands, wouldn't it? The southwest corner.
Nothing lives in the Ghostlands.
Oh,
I mean, they're called the Ghostlands. They're dead.
or there's things that will haunt you there because they're so stealthy. I've seen things called ghost areas for. So
Graf kind of nods at YOLO and he says, well, I didn't say that there aren't things there that move and walk the earth.
Why are you nodding at me? I'm a very lively character.
Because what you
full
said
of-
was everything there is dead.
Oh yes.
so you were talking
I
about
see your
going
meaning.
to
Right.
Talar
Right.
to confer with the elves. Then you mentioned the tower. Where's the tower located?
I'm not dead.
He says, Demira's Tower. It's not, I've never seen it. I don't think it's real. It's in the stories. It's a place where one can speak with the goddess directly.
God, why would I want to speak to her again?
Again, right? Exactly. I turned to YOLO and I'm like, right? She said, well, she set us up. There's nothing.
Where does it talk about in the legends where that's at? Is that near Talar?
You called me a loser.
Supposedly, and this is why I don't believe it's real, supposedly it's in the lake.
Oh, just one of the islands there in the lake? I mean, the lake's huge. It's almost to the point you could call it a small sea.
Demira's, indeed, for what it's worth. But no, he says Demira's Tower stretches into the heavens. If it was real, you'd be able to see it in the sky.
Well, magic could hide it from our eyes. I mean, if it's only meant to be used by the heroes, they would be able to see the tower and others couldn't, in theory. Or maybe the elves were...
For what it's worth, he probably doesn't realize the world is a sphere.
Right.
Fair, but
he probably
realistically
doesn't get the idea that it would sink below the horizon no matter how tall it was. You know what I mean?
Right, but realistically, like it could have a cloaking device of some form or fashion, and you have to go to the elves to get the access code to see through it, to then access, to then move on. But semantics. I'm overthinking things.
What's our actual goal?
No, I mean that's
talk to this guy in the hanging citadel.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys are actually in town to deliver a sealed message that was given to you by Absolver Refander.
Correct. Right. Okay.
Also, I meant to ask you, where are you from?
Are you asking Gralf?
Yeah, they told us they and their kind left the Beastlands when it got fucked over.
Yep.
Right, when it became the Windscour.
Okay. Oh, were you from the northern or southern edge of the Windscour?
Southern, he says.
Oh, near the Verdant Valleys.
Further east, but yes, absolutely, other side of the river.
Okay.
Reading
I
the
wanna see-
DM's fucking books. What's up?
It's called the world map labeled. I am resources, baby.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was busy.
No, you're good, fam. Okay. Well,
Oh, speaking of busy, let's take like a moment to refill our drinks and all that.
we still got like half an hour,
30 minutes.
unless your
Okay.
clock's running fast.
No, we can, I guess, wait a little bit then. Another 20 or something.
Yeah, either way.
I plan ahead.
I got
Right.
cans in a bottle right here, so yeah.
Sometimes I
Ralph
do that.
has business. to
Sometimes
do,
I pour ahead of time and just set it over in its special spot.
and so do we. Let us depart and make haste.
Yeah, let's do this thing. Actually, have we delivered our message? Like, what is keeping us from delivering our message?
We were biding time till the arena opened, so YOLO could register for the fights later tonight.
Right. And then
Question,
Neuro
Ralph,
was
where
gonna
would you go to
fight
buy
too,
a
right?
gem or a fine stone as such, like
Yeah.
a pearl or ruby, that sort of thing?
Right, he says. You'll find the gem dealers in the bankers district, southwest of the Pugnatorium.
Okay, thank you. I was needing to acquire a couple things, and well, you've helped us so much. I would think you would know the best places to go.
Look for the buildings with the literal gold trim.
One of them that's really impressive. Another that's kind of tacky.
He says, right?
Like, how do they make it where people don't ship it off to try to sell it somewhere else? Because
they
it's
don't. Oh,
gold.
they don't. People do. So they paint it and they just cover it with, it's just lead, but they cover it with yellow paint, and then people do it anyway because they're stupid.
Actually, I can see people here genuinely putting gold back up, but semantics. Okay, thank you.
What's Jory
Oh.
saying? It's
The
not
one-
important, I bet, but
What?
I have the ability to know what you're saying.
Right. He said, I'm the messenger from the devil's maw. And then later he said, be not afraid.
Two different languages.
Right. Okay.
I said the
so-
first in Infernal and the second in Celestial, just so you know.
The other one that I would ask before we go is I would probably pull out and show one of those stony corpse things.
The stalactite things.
Yeah. And ask, so I think this material is actually strong enough to craft into a breastplate with just a little bit of work and some non-metal reinforcement, which would be kind of cool for me because if I'm out of my beast forms, I'm a little squishy. You know
You're a
who would be
little-
the best like leather armor smith crafter person for such a job?
Well, really, I'm not certain an armorer would be the right person for that job. It doesn't look like something that you would generally work that way. It's not. And he sort of like wraps a knuckle against it, and he says, "It's not tannable like leather. It's not workable like steel."
Maybe an artificer?
Maybe. He thinks about it though, and he says they generally like to work in the more malleable metals. Maybe Hastelin. she's a smith, but she does generally work in exotic materials, and she's an imbuer. So it may be that she understands how to work with this material in a useful way better than a tailor might.
That
Yeah, he
sounds
says,
good.
Hastelin is where I would take that.
Where can I find her shop?
He kind of like points out the door across the street, and he says, in the crafts quarter, pretty much dead center, look for the building with the harp.
All right, the cross quarter.
The crafts quarter.
Crafts quarter. Sorry, I did not hear you correct. You know, maybe I did hear you say Oni and just thought you said O. But my apologies. And I guess which region is the crafts quarter? That's just right outside the door
twitch
here.
my nose at that.
Yeah, the crafts quarter is literally what woke you up this morning, in fact.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'll be looking for the harp on the door, as you said.
All right, if you're going to head through the crafts quarter, it's loud, it's busy. When I say, though, that it's loud, it's mostly loud in, the form of industrial processes. Lots of roaring fires, banging hammers, saws, that sort of thing. The streets are, alternate between a couple of broad avenues that sort of connect to the main arteries of the of the city. The rest of it, though, is really sort of like tight, narrow, barely two people wide, like alleyways, basically. Everywhere buildings can be crammed into this district, they are crammed into this district.
Nice.
And most of them seem to be parted into, like, where, maybe the building had originally been a warehouse. It's been now repurposed to be like 6 workshops. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's obvious that the city is experiencing pretty good economic times, and that every shop seems to be busy. You find, as you wander through the district, that finding Hastelin's shop is not difficult. You come to the center of the quarter, where there is a rather large square, dominated by 2 L-shaped buildings that are sort of catty-corner to each other. One of them is an entirely different architectural style from the buildings around it, where the buildings around it are generally utilitarian, with straight edges and sort of box-like shapes. This building is all curves and domes, like a series of geodomes, geodesic domes that have been like squashed together into one sort of L-shaped building.
Neat.
The roof is like an umbrella in that there are like spars that come from a center point at each of the domes. And you realize as you're looking at it that the whole roof system has been sort of like built to sort of resemble the canopy of a tree, with the spars as branches and then green tiling as the sort of like leaves of, individual leaves of the tree. And in fact, each of the green tiles, which is obviously some sort of painted clay from what you could tell, has been detailed so that it has, a center vein and various lines to give it even a more leaf-like suggestion or appearance. The bottom floor of the building is just white stucco, just kind of like the rest of the places around here, except that the stucco has been painted, and it's painted in this sort of like neutral brown color, almost suggestive of like the trunk of a tree. And you realize as you look at it that it's not actually a solid color. It's actually a sort of like I kind of want to say like a paisley, but that's not exactly what I mean. But it's sort of like an intermix of lighter and darker tones, so that when you look at the wall, it almost has a like gnarled and knotty texture like wood, but it's actually just a stucco wall.
Yeah.
The door is the center door is large, double doored as a sort of like archway with a half arch for each door. The doors are wide open. Inside is large, wide open spaces with big. There's a central circular forge pit, a charcoal pit, on one end of the building, on the north end of the building. The L-shaped like crotch of the building is another dome, and underneath that dome is a. First of all, there's 2 stories on that dome, and the second story you can't actually see from where you're at. I.e., there's a floor and where the rest of the world is, or rest of the building is vaulted ceilings and stuff. But on the ground floor, there is a sort of like large circular counter, behind which sits an elven woman. She's dressed in a leather apron, and some sort of like, you guess, simple, like maybe a jumpsuit or like pants and a tunic. It's hard to tell behind the leather apron. But they're like a simple like light blue color. All one color. Like, she's not actually dressed particularly elegantly. She's very utilitarian. Her hair is sort of like tied back in a queue. Smudges of black soot, mark various exposed surfaces of her pale skin. And her hair is this sort of like light, like almost white green. And she has long, pointed elven ears, not like Warcraft long. I don't mean like foot long, not Deedlit or Parn, but definitely, Spock sized.
Yeah, I was gonna say
prominent,
more like
pointed
Vulcan ears. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
we have a map?
No, we don't have a map.
No.
Okay.
No, it's just place,
Theater of the mind, man. Theater of the
And
mind.
so I would approach and say, "Hi there. We were referred to the shop by Grolth. I'm looking for Estelin. Is that you?"
She nods and she says, "Oh yeah, I'm Haslin. Growl sent you? Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, what can I do for you?"
All right. So I've got these interesting hides here. We actually have some fun stuff. I don't know if the rest of the crew wants to
Check these
show off
hides.
any of the other sort of things, but I have these interesting hides from these interesting creatures that we fought. I'll pull them out, both of them.
Yep, she'll immediately start looking at one, and she's piercers, huh?
Yep. We came across I won't get into the details. I've acquired 2 piercer bodies with the consideration that. All right, are you familiar with druids? Let me just ask you that real quick.
She kind of gives like a half smile when you say that, and she says, "Yeah, I'm familiar with druids."
So the whole idea that using metal weapons are okay, but one must protect themselves with armors not made of metal. It gets in the way of wild shape, which of course is one of my most important features. Much more important than my lovely smile.
Nice.
I see, she says.
And so,
And she sort of like knocks on the surface of the piercer, and she says, "Depending on what you're looking for, this will probably do you pretty well."
that is what I'm really glad to hear. I was looking for like either a breastplate or perhaps even half plate. It might take a little getting used to, but if I can get going in half plate, it's a little more protection. Though, I'll admit, just a breastplate would probably be about enough. And seems like there's probably enough material here to layer and make something sturdy and solid. We have the ability to fix things magically, if you're familiar with the magic of mending.
Yes.
So I'm not worried about it getting beat up because we have ways to repair it. Can't have metal. And there's one little thing that I'm a little worried about with it, because piercers do seem to have a bit of a fiendish nature to them. And I'm obviously someone who probably wouldn't want to get corrupted in the process of trying to fight off the fiendish kinds that are a threat to all of us. And so I actually have a little bit of this interesting wood, a little more than a little, in fact. We came across a dryad that, well, okay, again, I'm going to give it a short version of the story. A dryad provided us wood in her final act that, while dry, is very powerful against some fiendish materials and things. And so the idea would be using the wood for all of the parts that would need to be stiff on it. Metal is okay for belt, buckles and stuff like that. That one's not a problem. But parts where it needs to be reinforced and potentially kind of lined a little bit on the inside to help kind of insulate myself from anything that the surface might try to impart upon me from long-term use. Other than that, I was also hoping maybe if there's enough of the material after that to be able to get a shield made using, once again, that wood and the hide. And what's left of the hide and some of the additional chunks of this material that I have, I will provide as, the compensation. Plus, I would imagine you're probably going to want some coinage too, which we're working on that part. We'll figure out the bill when we get to the business side of things. Right now, let's just kind of talk about the possibilities.
Indeed, she says. Well,
This guy.
it's not
super-
an. What was that, man?
I was gonna say this guy's request is super complicated. Me, I want to take a cube of said wood and have you put it at the end of my whip.
She looks over at you and she says, "Well, I mean, I'm a smith, but I'm not that kind of smith. But
would you know someone that could?
Oh, certainly." And she kind of gestures vaguely out the door. She says, "Any leather worker could probably do that for you. I mean, I could do it for you. I'm just saying I'm not. It's not my.
It's not your
It's
specialty.
like you could ask me to saw a log, but I'm not a carpenter. You understand what I'm saying?"
Absolutely.
Sure.
But I'm happy to for a few coins.
I spilled.
Oh no, shit. Well, so much for your special spot.
Yep, I was gonna say, oh no, pre-spill.
What I spilled is
I assume she had like woodworking
electronics, which is
tools or
important.
something, which is why we were talking to her. We were talking to her while we was talking to her. Way to go, Garrett.
Yeah, no, I got what you're saying. No, it's pretty clear that she's a metal worker, but that she's also worked in exotic materials. Like, she's not afraid of the woodwork. She's basically telling you that, like, tying a piece of wood to the end of your whip is like, yeah, she could totally do that, but that's not the thing that she would expect a customer to ask for.
Oh no, I was expecting her to like shape it so it could be tied to the end of the wood and be like hard still.
Yeah. I mean, like honestly, you had said a cube, but actually, what she probably would have given you was a point with a knob on the end that you could, that would be anchored to the whip. And like she could absolutely make that for you. She's just not a woodworker. You know what I mean?
I will go to a woodworker for that then.
She says if you're looking for a whip end, you might want to take this to a latheman, and have it lathed.
Even better. See, I already know going to it. Like, wow, yes, exactly. English is hard right now for some reason.
Phalian, she turns back to you and points down at the piercers, and she says, "It's not an easy material to work with. It's hard. It will do what you're asking, but if I may," and she pulls from a pocket in her apron a very small hammer. In fact, when you look at it, you think to yourself, that's a toy hammer. But then you realize that where the peen of the hammer would be, the surface of the hammerhead instead has a like diamond point, like an actual gem embedded in the hammer, that comes to a point. And she says, this will break a piece of it. Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the materials that aren't needed for the stuff that you're going to be making for me will then be yours to keep and use, and I hope you're able to do something glorious with it for some other hero in the future.
She sort of she smiles at that, but it's kind of a like smile. But she says, "Well, let me show you what the challenge is." And she like selects basically a corner of the sort of conical shape. She holds it taut and she strikes it with the hammer, and it sort of like cracks like peanut brittle. And she like except that the pieces don't come off. They stay, on the membrane of the actual hide behind the shell. And she says, you don't actually get to dictate the lines when you make your cuts. They're sort of dictated by the way the creature grew its shell. You understand?
Yeah, I completely get you on that.
Oh, it's like working with seashells.
Right, exactly. She says, much stronger. In fact, it's honestly about as strong as decent steel. But I can't guarantee you that I could, for example, produce a set of half plate or full plate.
Oh no,
with the material here.
A breastplate, and if possible, like a shield with even the scrappy pieces would probably be good for that.
Right. If we assume that we're going to build the shield as, and she thinks about it, and she says, probably some sort of round shield. I could reinforce the surface with the pieces that don't fit on your armor. It may not be pretty, but it would definitely be sturdy.
Oh, I don't want it to be pretty. I don't want it
lacquer it to...
No, I don't want it to be pretty at all. If I have to don my shield to take care of a threat, any last thing to make little old me with this
you want it to be this
beautiful little smile of mine,
grotesque accretion of fucking. Yeah, I get it.
Still, putting a good lacquer on it would make it a sturdier shield, I would think, to adhere the pieces together better.
Yeah, I mean the construction processes are whatever you see fit, Hestelin. I think you I think you probably have a really good idea of what all of this is going to take. Now, I have to ask you, this is not going to be an easy task. You're obviously going to need some sort of compensation, financial or otherwise. What can I do or get for you, or otherwise, what would be the approximate cost for a project like this?
She thinks about it for a minute, and she says, well, I would probably have you go make the shield body with another craftsman. And she points kind of to Verde, and she says, again, I'm not a woodworker, you understand. But if you were to bring me back the pieces, I'll supply the dimensions. I could do the assembly on the shield, add the banding, add the backing, and she points to the piercer, add the backing of the shell. Building you a breastplate. Yeah, that's probably doable. I could probably do the whole thing for. She thinks about it for a minute. 900.
All right. I definitely appreciate that price. It sounds very fair and reasonable. I will say for the moment, maybe let's hold off on getting the work started until I can guarantee that I can get you these sort of funds. Is there
I'm going to ask a stupid question. Are we talking EP or GP?
GP.
Okay. I kind of thought, but I hate assuming.
Yeah, no, this
No,
seems
I mean
like
that's actually a fair question. She didn't
Yeah,
say.
right.
So when you ask, she says gold.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I want to make sure that I'm gathering the appropriate currency.
Correct.
Let me ask you this. Is there any sort of tool or object or material that would be able to help you offset the cost a little bit? I'm not talking about doing anything nefarious to obtain them, of course, to see if perhaps in our travels and our trading we come across such things and are able to come with that quicker than I'm able to generate the gold required for the task to get done.
Right. She nods and she says, I see what you're thinking there. She points to her, obviously pretty well off shop. And she says, I've plenty of materials. I've the steel I need for the fixtures. I even happen to have the leather I would need right now. I don't know that there's much that you could provide in that way, but I mean the most of what I'm charging, you understand, is the labor. This is, and she points down to the material. She says, this is hard to work with. And she says, that said, if your issue is the price, we could work out barter, I suppose. What trade are you folks in? Are you just adventurers?
We are adventurers. We're gonna try our hand a little bit.
Funny way to say criminals.
At the arena, and we have.
Are you a betting woman?
Perhaps a little bit of other business in town that we need to take care of today. But yeah, we do a little of this, little of that. I personally, as a druid, I can make good berries. I'm a very exceptional cook. If you've got like a pet cat or dog or any sort of animal that is feeling down or depressed right now and needs some cheering up, I can speak to animals. I make treats and foods for animals that they absolutely love, and I know the taste is great because I turn into those animal forms and know I try them for myself.
Lure them.
So it's any sort of stuff like if your auntie's little cat's having a hard time, I could go over and help out. These are the sort of talents. Just as much that if you need like a bear to appear somewhere for theatrical effect, you can have the smartest damn bear you'll ever meet. Me.
And I'm a thug. Essentially.
Yeah, there's not much there that I could work with.
Do you have anything that you're needing repaired?
I also think you should find your inner peace and learn to meditate and stuff.
Right. What you say, is there anything you need repaired? She kind of chuckles. She says, no, I got that covered too, thanks.
No, I mean like actual mending, like it taken back to a new state, not repaired.
Right. No, she Yeah, no, she nods and she says, "No, I understand. As a point of pride, I like to do my own work. You understand?"
Okay, no, you're a professional. I can understand that. I'm just trying
Uh,
to offer skills.
Yep. She says, "However, I could work out a trade for certain rare materials if you knew how to get a hold of, for example, mithril.
Of course,
Any
Oh,
any rare materials of that sort that you come across, I'm always looking to get a hold of for my personal work. Otherwise, she thinks about it and she says, "Well, as adventurers, you could probably take some, some jobs from the guild. You could probably make the coin that way."
is there actually an adventurers guild in this world?
Yes.
It's already been established.
Right. I
Um,
might have been drunk.
Oh,
man.
speaking of which, you might want
Love
to
you.
do the thing.
No, not yet. I am watching the clock, my
I
friend.
am pouring
I'm
myself
watching
a
the
little
clock.
drink real fast while you do that.
I was gonna say, everybody, if you're not prepared, you should have been. This is a thing we do every week for like 7 goddamn years or more at this point.
Yep.
Oh shit! Here we are again, my friends. Oh god damn it! I lost focus and my enter didn't work. Kablam!
Aw.
Kabada! Kabada! All right, friends, neighbors. I know I don't wear a dope hat, but look, this logo is a pot leaf. Anyway, welcome. Welcome to this moment on the DOP Cruise stream, where weekly, for I was just noting, upwards of 7 years and maybe longer. I don't know. I drink a lot and smoke weed, but whatever. Hey, this is the moment in our show weekly where we take I can't say moment twice, where we take a second to recognize those that have gone to the link there that I put there in the web, in the chat, in the doobly-doo. I'm gonna just double check it works. Oh, look, it does. All right, lots of people go there and they give us money. I mean, maybe not lots, but some. And those people, they're awesome. Those people are actual patrons of the arts by virtue of going there and giving us money on the weekly. And by us, I mean, it's not weekly, it's monthly. But by us, I mean myself and Snipe Hunter.
That's me. Hi, everybody.
This is your moment. All right. We use this money for making art and writing things and paying bills that allow us to make art and write things. And
Right.
then,
For example, this month, our Patreon donations helped fund the license that I use to work on our Unity projects.
indeed, correct. I have also used it to print things that I will send to people. I promise. I love you. I will. Anyway, once a week, a thing that the people that are actual patrons of the arts get as like a recognition, a point of like, whoa, is right now we go, you guys, you're patrons of the arts and you should feel chuffed. Thank you very much. This drink is from us to you. Cheers. Cheers to you, patrons.
Cheers.
Glory
And
to
from the
hell.
bottom of our hearts, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Keep up the good work.
That's what we do every week.
Eventually, something
here.
comes in the mail.
Right now. And something will come in the mail. I promise you I have things. They're right over there. I have set them aside. They're ready to go. I just got to do it. Do it. I'll get there. I'm getting better every day. I promise. Love you guys. I mean it.
Does she need a strong arm to strongman somebody? Does she have any competition that's been moving too close on her business?
No.
She is a elder. Like I doubt that's no.
Well, I mean, even just looking at the way that her shop is arranged, like, she clearly deals with whales, usually. In that the shop is way cleaner than any forge has a right to be. You know what I
When you
mean?
say whales, you mean like people that spend a lot of money for small things.
Shamu.
You don't mean
Right.
actually like this place is full of ivory and whalebone and
Right. Yeah. No. Horrifically, all she does is do
Right.
work at ivory.
all she
Yeah,
does is
right.
whales.
You
Here's
see,
oil.
I
It's
thought you were
maximum oil.
gonna. I thought you were gonna suggest that there are whale
Whale.
people
Yeah.
who dwell the town.
Yep, likewise.
Yeah. No. As far as you can tell, you haven't found any cetacean folk. But no, when I say that whales, I do mean of the financial type. In that there are nice places to sit where you can see the forge, but from the part of the building that is not the forge and is kind of nice. You know what I mean?
You can watch people make the thing you just
Right.
spent way too much to have them make.
Right. There's this big, huge counter that she's sitting behind that you can tell from just looking at the, it's a ring, so you can kind of see the back of it. Has a bunch of shelves full of like sample materials and forms. Like
Yep.
she obviously does commissions.
It's build a sword workshop.
Right. You totally get it.
Oh, I would.
Here's
In
where
other
you
words,
I would
put
definitely
here's where you
get-
put the little plastic heart into the hilt.
We're out of our element
Sword.
because this is a nobleman's shop, obviously, and
I
we're
would-
not noblemen.
I would ask her about the specifications for the shield, if I could get those.
Yeah. So the first question is, what kind of shield do you want? She can probably make you anything from a buckler, actually probably just a buckler or a regular shield, now that I've said
Heater. A heater. She can make
Right.
a heater.
You're right.
Well, for how big I am, something between the size of a buckler and a heater it's almost like a tall shield for me. So yeah, something like that. I mean, I'm gonna be strong enough to wield it, and it's not gonna really get in my way too much, but it's the whole strength to mass ratio sort of thing. Yeah, I think something a little bit bigger than a buckler would basically be a big enough shield that I could more or less duck behind it.
Okay. So she reaches under the counter and she pulls out a piece of paper, actually. Like not super high quality or anything, but a large, sort of broad brown, wood pulp paper sheet. And in her other hand, she has basically a stick of charcoal. And she sort of like looks at you, looks down at the paper for a minute, and she says, okay, so probably, and she draws a kind of like, not quite a circle. It's more like an egg shape with the small point at the bottom. But it's about 3 feet across and about 3.5 to 4 feet long. And she says, she makes notations on the numbers. And she looks at you again and she says, probably 1/4 inch thick. No, 1/2 inch thick.
Just for your notes here, my character is 3'2".
3'2"?
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's go 2x3 then.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were 4 feet tall.
Nope. That's why I was saying a buckler's like almost all of it.
Yep. Okay. So yeah. So she'll revise her measurements then. But yeah. So she basically like, right in front of you produces a pseudo blueprint / spec, and she says any of the woodworkers in the district should be able to make this for you, no problem. And she kind of like leans across the counter and points north, and she says, end of the block is the carpenter that I usually use, and he employs a latesman, she says to Verde. So you could probably get both of your needs handled there. Just tell him I sent you.
Oh, what's the names?
She looks at you and she says, it's the... Oh, you mean of... I'm so sorry. His name is Rid.
Rid.
Carpenter.
The way I can just make notes in my digital thing. We figured that out first day, right?
Yeah, as far as you can tell, there's no way to make files in the system of the game, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah,
I don't have a Note ++ or anything like that.
Not that you're aware of, no.
Shit. All right, I would really love a Notepad or Note extension to my UI.
Yeah,
That'd be sick.
that would be nice.
IRL though, you could totally hit the notes button and make a note.
I would have to do that with actual text.
Right, but I mean, if you look over
notes.
there's a notes section.
Shit, adventures, and there's a button. I can press the button. Oh my god! I think I've even done this before because I wrote something about an amber wizard.
Yep.
Oh my god, I don't remember any of this. Terrible. I have notes that don't have anything related to them. They're just blank. I have blank notes. That's trash. How do you delete blank notes? I know how. Never mind. Figured it out.
Cool.
Okay. So that's probably where we would be heading next, unless there was anything else anybody wanted to talk about. If we wanted to see if she's able to turn those
make a note of.
ruby lenses into goggles of night vision or whatever.
I'm ready to go. Where are we going next?
I thought you were wanting to turn those into lighted belt buckles.
Well, we can
Nice.
also actually we probably should do that one. We should probably find the craftspeople for that. That would be jewelers.
Yeah, actually you passed more than one jeweler or artificer, both in fact in the district already.
Yeah.
Okay. So we could
I would maybe ask how much for appraisal on my helmet to get it polished up.
She says, well, here, let me see.
I can repair that.
I take off my hat.
All right. Here, let me actually pull it up. What the hell is that thing called again?
Helm of Comprehending Languages.
Oh yeah, there it is. That's right. I forgot it's identified.
That's why you can hear what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I still don't have the hero's name to it too, even though I have no.
I'm like, you don't speak infernal motherfucker.
I do if I have the helmet.
Right.
Yeah, so she looks it over and she says, well, actually, I mean, it's really not in bad shape. You could probably leave this with me. I could have it polished up for you in like an hour. Call it 5 gold. I'm not really doing anything else right now.
Okay. Won't do anything else to it. It's very precious to me.
I see. And I say, does it work? Does it need to be polished?
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, Watson's not wrong. If he casts mend on it, it's going to get cleaned.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
You're saying
I also have prestidigitation that literally I went into Wizard because it lets me clean things.
Okay. Maybe later.
All right.
I mean, it is a magic item, though.
Yeah, but the magic itself is functional. So, like, the fact that
Press
men
mend
can't
on
fix
it.
that is irrelevant. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the mend is not going to make the magic better or worse because the magic works. It's just going to clean the item up.
Right. It's going to deal with the rust, the corrosion specifically, and then prestidigitation is going to polish it. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Shiny.
How many bells has it been? So
At this point, it's actually probably getting close to 11.
do we have time to see the latest one?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're quick about it.
Go see your woods worker, see if we can get this commissioned or not. Or...
I'm gonna wait until we have a little more money before I go to a woodworker.
All right. I can move on to this cube for the lathe as well. We'll do it all in one sweep.
Makes sense.
All right, then on to the arena, I assume.
It's on the way.
Yeah.
All right. Lucky you. The arena is basically half a district to your east, so not very far away. And at 11 a.m. Is basically a sleepy and closed and relatively deserted location.
Except for the line of people waiting to sign up for the day.
Right. The exception is the western entrance to the Pugnatorium, wherein a small group of folks seem to be milling about outside. And when I say a small group, I mean about 12 people.
Really? So the city isn't a place where the Pugnatorium is like popular place to do work for the day if you have nothing else to do.
Well, it's not open unless you're fighting.
No, I know, but like if you had nothing better to do in a giant ass city and you were poor or whatever, you might be. I would figure you'd be driven to, like, just like people. And
Right,
I'm
like
not trying to
as
stereotype,
if it
but
were a
like
park.
if you show up at a place where, if you show up at like a hardware store and hang out in a crowd because people go to the hardware store needing help, right? You would go to the Pugnatorium if you could just go in for one day, right, and offer your body for money. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, what you're talking about is the Adventurers Guild.
Oh, is that so?
Well, yeah. So the Pugnatorium. Let me see if I can frame this right for you. So if you look at the Gallender city map, do you see how some of the districts have a sort of like white flagstone?
Yep, totally
yep.
do.
Yeah, those areas of town are noticeably nicer than the other areas of
Correct.
town.
Yeah,
If this were a 21st century
it's
establishment,
Irvine,
every bench would have individual armrests for each seat.
so you can't sleep on it, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
right.
right.
So
White flagstone here is Irvine, yellow is Santa Ana.
right, you're getting it. And
Sorry, my Santa Ana fans.
and
Sorry, my
brown,
Irvine fans.
right. I was saying brown dirt is like Chino,
Sorry, my Chino fans. I used to work in Chino. My first job ever was in Chino Dairy Preserve. I promise I love you.
I could have said Diamond Bar, I guess.
Oh my god. Can we not though?
But yeah, so
Also,
the kinds of gathering that you're talking about don't happen here as a matter of actively discouraging.
Right. They pick you all up, they put you in a bus, and they send you over here to the yellow or the brown.
Right. You get what I'm saying. So like, if the place isn't open, you aren't going to find people who don't have a reason to be there.
But I figure there are a bunch of people who think that they can get off the street by scrapping in the fucking barefisted arena, who will be signing up early in the morning for the rounds, right?
So that's the trick. And to get to Verde's perception roll, the 12 people who are milling about all have the look of trained fighters. In fact, Verde, you recognize more than half of them from your time in the stables yesterday. They're pretty well built. They move with a kind of precision of movement that you don't normally find in a layman. Like they just have more control over their limbs, you know? And they obviously like have done this before, you know. They're sort of like casually talking to each other. There's no nervousness, there's no enmity. This is probably what they do every day.
There aren't pickups, you don't think?
Well, I mean, Verde knows that you sign up at 11, so there can be pickups, but
He's
you
a
don't
pickup.
see any.
Like
Right.
he's a pickup, right? All right. I'm there. I'm gonna go there with him. By the way.
Well, you're all moving as a group, aren't you?
Yeah.
I thought only. Oh, okay. Are we all here? Cool. I only thought. a few
Yeah,
of us
this
were
is on
signing
the
up.
way to our next chore as well.
I'm gonna size these motherfuckers up. Do I think Verde's in danger?
No. I mean, when I say no, I don't mean that Verde's a shoo-in to win. I mean, you know from when Verde had his sparring match last time that A, he can do things that they don't seem to be able to, but that B, nobody was out to like hurt each other, you know? Not that kind of fight.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. All right. I guess at that point I'll stay back. I'm not going to sign up myself. I do have a 17 strength and a 13 dex and a lot of weird magic because I have a 16 charisma, but I'm not going to use those things to like using charisma to stop a fight or to fix a fight is a little shady.
Table talk's part of the game, right?
Right?
Also, to be fair,
I'm just
if
saying
they
I can roll
found out you-
persuasion as a starred +5 skill.
That's a different. That would be a different combat league, I believe.
I'm just saying, lay down. And then I roll persuasion, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's not command, so it's not
No,
going
it
to do
isn't.
that, but
No, but still +5. If I roll a 20 persuasion, I just say, "Stay down, bitch," and whack you twice with good hits. Maybe it's a good idea that I just lay down and take this one.
You still have to have them pass a. It'd take more than a charisma check to have somebody do that in this circumstance because it's not command.
right on a
understand
success of that roll, they're not going to just lay down.
No, they're not.
They're not going to comply. What you're going to get is probably advantage on your next attack because you intimidated them.
Right. Yeah, precisely. But my strength is also a 17. So I have a 17 strength and a 16 charisma. This character, by the way, is anchored in strength and charisma.
Well, yeah, he's a paladin.
Yes. Oh, I guess I did that on purpose. Okay, never mind. I'm not fighting in the arena anyway.
So I would ask for signing up.
Open the door.
Or when the door opens. To sign up.
Yeah, I mean, are you guys going to join those fighters, or are you going to stand apart from them? What's your
Yeah, probably mingle with them. I would
definitely be listening in for their stories.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't be like standing in the circle with the rest of them or whatever, but just kind of off to the side a little. Not with them, but not away from them.
Okay. Well, as you guys walk up, a couple of the people in the group recognize Verde from the night before, and kind of like tap their friends on the shoulder and sort of point them out.
Newbie's back.
Yep. One of them even like waves and says, "That was a pretty good fight last night."
Yeah, it was.
I'm still trying to figure out how you threw him without like throwing him.
I see. I don't exactly know either.
Huh. You could tell he thinks that's part of your like
Banter.
fight strategy. Yeah, exactly. They're all pretty good natured, you know. They don't exactly include you in the conversation, but they don't exclude you either.
Hey, you're the
Like,
FNG.
right. They're basically, you know, talking about, hey, are you gonna try, you know, X or Y or whatever. It's like shop talk, basically, you know.
Yeah.
After a while, the door opens, and both Salas and Laris step out. Standing next to each other, you realize, you know, they're not obviously they're not as identical as you originally thought, I guess is the best way to put that. There are some differences between the two. The one on the right, who you realize was Salas, for example, is slightly stockier, like with beefier arms and a slightly more developed chest. Whereas, you know, Laris seems to have like, you know, walnut cracking thighs in comparison, but doesn't have a particularly well developed core in comparison to his brother. So otherwise, though, they are literally identical twins. They step out.
Just one's leg day, one's chest day.
Right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah, pretty much.
I feel like
if you were to,
those of us that weren't signed up to fight would be up in the stand somewhere in a crew.
there is no stands. It's not open.
Well, I know,
It's
but those of us that aren't fighting wouldn't be here, right?
It's 11 in the morning. You're standing at the western door to the entrance.
Oh shit. Okay, never mind. Got it.
Yep. So Salas says, "Hey, welcome everybody. So welcome to the signups for tonight's fights." Laris steps forward and he says, "So there are going to be 7 fights tonight. That means we need 14 fighters." And he looks around and he says, "I see 13. Are you all fighting unarmed?" The 12 fighters who were there before you all kind of nod to, you know, kind of nod to them and say, "Yep, yep."
There's an empty slot.
Yeah, sure. Unarmed. Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that.
Good.
I
One
can
empty
I
spot.
can
I'll
do
take it.
unarmed, but it's gonna have to be as like a bear or something.
I'll take it. I'm a rabbit, though. Same problem.
No, I mean, dude, they're beast folk too. You know what I mean? Like, they're Oni technically, but you know what I mean. They ain't human, so clearly that's okay.
If there's an empty slot and I see it, I'll be like, well, I guess I can take it. But again, if Neuro is already in there,
Well, I don't. This sounds like a natural league sort of thing. I don't think they're gonna actually entertain the idea of having a bear fight somebody bare knuckle.
I mean, a wrestle.
Yeah, that's fair. And in fact, when you say it would have to be as a bear or something, Laris says, "Well," and he looks over at his brother and he says, "There technically aren't any spots in the magic fights tonight, but we could probably work you in an opener."
All right. I don't know what the rest of the day is gonna have in store, but I might also be able to help with healing and that sort of stuff. Unless, of course, you have just a fantastic medical staff already.
So he nods. He says, "Well, if you're offering to help, we'll I mean, everybody likes it when a fighter pitches in. But that said, if you're worried about your safety, we got you covered."
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not as worried about my safety. If you knock me out from being a bear, I just go back to being the me you see right now.
Andy.
I'm just slowly giving over to if this is who I am, this is who I am. Here's who we should be, right? And I realized that yeah, I should probably compete in a fighting game. So right on. If Verde's going to do it, if YOLO's going to do it, well, I can sign up. And I wasn't going to, but it looks like they have an empty spot. If they have an empty spot, sure, I'll step in.
All right. So, when they realize that you're gonna offer to take the empty spot, they sort of point to everybody who's fighting in the Natural League unarmed, and they say, "All right, hold on. We need to get all of your names, and I need to assess you so I can decide how to seed you." And he kind of like gives you a like give me a second motion, and he turns back to Phalian and he says,
Master of the list.
Well, the truth is we really don't have a slot for a magic fighter tonight. But on the other hand, if you're offering to volunteer, best seat in the house.
Make you a marshal, right? Make you a marshal.
If you really want to fight, we could maybe get another slot if you could find another magic fighter.
Well, here's the other offer: is that instead of being
Go to bed.
yeah,
Alexa,
shut up, Alexa.
stop.
Not a sponsor. I think the other way you could maybe consider it is if you have a fighter who maybe isn't so ready to do the unarmed sort of fighting. They're more like kind of needing to use their weapons and armor and stuff. That would probably be a little bit more of a fair match for a bear. Or a wolf.
He nods.
Or
right,
a
he
terrible
nods.
lizard creature. I got all sorts of things.
He nods and he looks over at his brother, and they kind of like, they do this sort of not spoken communication thing. And they say, yeah, that kind of fight is a different night. We don't do those every day.
Those require fucking multiple gold fucking buy-in tickets for the good guys.
There's a lot of like setup too.
It's a whale fight.
Right. Right.
You could do another sort of thing. Something that's different than the challenges. Get me in a bucket of grease as a hog, and then do a time challenge for greased hog catching, and
That's
you can
fucking hilarious. Nero.
have a betting sort of thing.
I'll turn myself into a pig. We see how fast you catch me.
That's the thing, because it's we're gonna market it as me being the smartest,
the magical shape shifting, right? Exactly.
The smartest hog that's ever lived, because the joke
Can
is
you catch the neuro hog?
Can't
catch a neuro hog.
Neuro
hog's got the wisdom of neurotoxin, but also the body of a hog.
Smart, sneaky, and very, very lucky. It'll be very hard for someone to actually catch
Fucking
me.
Amazing, dude. That's hilarious.
I will see. I'm sure there can be bets flying, like
people
see the first one. It's like, okay, got him in 5 seconds. It's like, all right, I gave it to that one. People start placing their bets.
Next time you be a little rump pig, right? Next time you be a little pig.
Yeah, Laris looks over at Salas and says, I mean, we do need an opener.
All right, well, that could be a good way to have a little fun starting off here.
At this point, I'm super grooming my fucking... I'm just grooming my shit and laughing. This is so absurd at this. I'm just buying it. This is how we gotta live, guys. Love you. You guys are my friends. Like, you realize I have just opted in.
Yeah.
At this point, I've opted in.
Well, I'm glad you're finally up to where I'm at, because I've been enjoying this the entire time.
Well, no, at the beginning I was like, I had to have the little, the birthing pains. The what the fuck, really? Yeah, but now I'm just like, ha ha, embrace the absurd. I'm a rabbit.
I got to eat ochre jelly. It tasted like sweet lemon. It was delicious.
I know. This shit's pretty fucking sick. Also, I can jump like 2.5 times higher than you, bro.
Yeah.
Anytime I want. I can kick you so hard. I'm not gonna because I like you. But,
Until I figure out how to make a an apex giant tick form or something, or a giant flea, and then I'm like,
dire cricket.
I am jumping like hundreds and hundreds of feet in the air.
Like, I can legit right now just like jump 2.5 times a regular person's fucking like, bro. I'm a rabbit. I'm a rabbit.
Yep.
My ears go wonk.
Right. Well, you're going to be great to see in the arena here, and I'm kind of interested to see how you fight in rabbit form as somebody who already knows how to fight in human form.
Oh yeah, dude. I can't wait until I can tear someone's tummy out with my fucking right leg.
Well, you're not trying to kill the people. I don't think
of
it's
course
that
not. I'm
just...
It's not like that. Whoa, bro.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying rabbit kick.
Yeah.
How about that?
I mean, if
You
that
wanna-
was
you
what
wanna
we were
catch a
trying to
rabbit
do,
kick?
then I'd be looking at turning into a cassowary or something instead.
Right.
I can't do
just
that.
go full velociraptor.
Which
Right?
I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
legitimately a cassowary is probably like a CR2 or 3. Like those
It should be, yeah.
Those things are brutal. Those things are strong, powerful, fast, brutal, and
I'm pretty sure I can punch someone right up in the belly with my fucking leg because it's a digitigrade rabbit leg.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure if I land that right up in your tummy, you're gonna go a few feet back and land on your ground and probably pee blood for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
If I land
Otherwise,
that shot.
Right, I would say otherwise you must have managed to roll.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
You-
Real good roll.
All right.
Stay on target.
Sounds like then we'll have that for the opener, and then I guess you'll figure out who's going to be fighting where.
Yeah, they nod and they say, "Be here at the 21st bell."
Sounds good. And if
and they say, "This door here, right here."
yes, this door, you got it. 21st bell.
I'm trying to figure out how rabbit people tie their ears back for fighting.
Interesting.
And at this point, I suddenly grow apprehensive and look over at YOLO and go, "Man, you better not fuck this up."
Stay on target.
Yeah.
Stay on
So the pair turn to the group of fighters, and they say, "All right, so most of you know how it works. For the new guys, here's what's going to happen. You're going to come up here. You're going to shake our hands. We're going to decide what round you fight." And he points to the first guy in line, and he says, "Let's get this going."
Again.
As you watch, they do exactly what they said they were going to do. Each of them shakes the guy's hand. And when they do, there's like maybe less than a second, like a really short time, but for a moment, there's like a black outline around the handshake. Like almost like an aura of black each time.
The system acknowledging the fucking duel.
Probably not. Like it looks like a magic thing, not a system thing. Yeah, Watts, your guess is they're doing some sort of like
Power check.
Yeah, some sort of like key manipulation or probing. And that they're judging the fighters with this handshake in a way that like doesn't test their body, it tests their soul, so to speak, you know?
Okay, interesting. Do you say thoughts while we're standing around you? Like, do you say it's their soul? Huh? Like, yeah.
I'd actually just flat ask him, what exactly are you testing? That's rather interesting.
Yeah, they finish with the first guy. They don't actually tell him what round he's going to fight in yet, though. They each shake his hand and they say, "Okay, give us a second. We need to go through everybody first."
Yeah.
And then one of them, we'll say Laris, I guess. He turns to you, Watts, and he says, "Every fighter is a spirit, a heart, the passion that they fight for. We just make sure that that's honest and true. Otherwise, you could get hurt out there."
Huh.
Oh,
And
so
they
it's
don't
like
really
a purity checker.
elaborate. Yeah, he doesn't really elaborate after that.
Are
And
we
instead
here for the demo,
calls the
or are
next
we
guy
here to
forward.
kill someone? But
No, these are like he did say that their safety was guaranteed, so these are clearly not fights to the death.
right.
So they shake everybody's hands in turn. Yolo, when they get to you, there is a pause after we'll say it's Salas that shakes your hand first. After Salas shakes your hand, there's a pause. He doesn't say anything, but he looks at his brother, who then takes your hand. And he holds your grip for a while, and he says, "Huh, that's interesting. Which of you is fighting tonight?"
Whoa. What a question.
I don't really have a good sense of that.
Interesting. Ranking you is going to be a challenge. And then he nods to the rest of the crowd and he says, "Well, give us a moment."
Wait,
Question. Like,
is
and
that-
what a
that's a thing that's-
acknowledgement of like circumstance. Like, like, oh, they know what you're looking at.
I'm not going to.
How do they know what they're looking at?
I'm not going to cause a scene, but I have new knowledge that at least insinuates that this is not terribly uncommon. I mean, uncommon, but
your
maybe
current
not
state,
like
you mean?
terribly unknown. No,
Your
no,
state.
yeah, exactly. At least the state. Maybe not how I came about it, but the state.
No, but what you are.
Ish.
Roll insight for me, actually, before I give you any feedback on that statement.
Give it a second. That's a 14.
Okay.
Nothing.
Yep. No, I get you. Yeah. So there are two possibilities here. One is that they've seen this before and it's no big deal. The other is being long-lived spirits. They may have insight that other people don't have.
Well, I mean,
it may not be that your condition is a well-known thing and more like they knew it as soon as they saw it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You are one of these. These exist in legend.
No, I'm saying it's not even you are one of these. It's oh, this guy's weird. Oh, he's weird because he's got 3 souls,
Oh shit. Okay.
I got a question. Did they shake Phalian's hand?
They did not, no.
Interesting.
Okay.
Have I yet come to the conclusion that
I'm
my worry about racism against rabbit people is unfounded?
I'm just gonna shrug the way that they're just shrugging it off too.
We're
not
not
gonna
really.
make a problem.
It's more of it's an anti-beast thing, not rabbit specifically. A bee. Have they shaken Yolo's hand? Not Yolo, but
Jory's
wow.
hand, they have not yet. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm curious as
No,
to
I
how
have
they
not
react.
been. What you're gonna say is no.
No, I mean, they were actually just about to wave Verde over to the rest of the folks who have already been weighed. So they motioned for Jory to step forward and offer a hand to shake.
Shake them. Yeah. Will they shake my hand?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, no. Cool.
Yeah, they don't seem to care. I mean, to be fair, they're not human, so they may not be the kind of people that have the kind of prejudice you're worried about.
Right.
You know?
What are these people?
They're the Oni that you guys were discussing at breakfast.
What do they look like?
They're tall, well muscled. They have very dark skin, to the point of being almost pure black.
Oh, okay.
They also don't seem to have any like hair.
Oh, at all?
Right.
Whoa, not even like boar bristle or any shit like that?
No hair that you have seen,
Crazy.
basically.
Neat. Okay.
If you take a
Do they have
close
weird
look,
mouths or like weird teeth?
right? I was going to say if you take a close look, they don't show them off or anything, but it's
Sure.
pretty obvious that they have long incisors.
Okay. All right. Cool. Their eyes are like not weird. Are their eyes weird?
No, I mean they're regular eyes, but they're black.
Like black, like no color in their irises.
Correct. Yeah.
Just black. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's white sclera. Just
Right. When they smile, of course, it looks a little weird, right? I mean, just saying. Like,
yeah. Well,
I'm friendly.
For I mean, right. For what it's worth,
you know.
you've noticed that they don't tend to be open mouthed really at all. You know.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I will look up into their eyes, shake their hand, and just try to like do the best I can to like try to get that like, are you a dick or not feel that you do from people when you look in their eyes. And like, I don't know, am I displaying a neuroatypical response? What do you do when you meet a person you've never met?
You would typify you would typify their energy as fierce but jovial.
Fierce but jovial is sick, dude. I love that. Even as me, but as Jory, even more so. So I will absolutely then clasp their hand. I will reach out and attempt to be like, is it a handshake that you do? Basically.
Yeah. So they take your hand. Each of them clasps it, pretty warmly. They sort of look you up and down, and they don't seem to say too much. After they've both shaken their hands, they tell you, "Oh, excellent. Yeah, you'll do fine here." And they point you to the rest of the crowd, which they turn to, and they begin to divvy out rounds.
These
And
orcs.
and they said this is the way, and they're just talking to Verde and Jory at this point, because you can tell everybody else has heard all of this before. But
Sure.
but they say, this is the way it's going to work tonight. We're not doing a tournament. There is no major purse. However, each of you will fight a round with your opponent. Just for appearing, you're going to get 50 gold. If you win your fight, you will get another 50 gold. You are allowed to bet on your fights. You can only bet on yourself and only to win.
Get it. I look over at Verde and I kind of like, nod like, right? Like, right? Can I see him? I figure.
Yeah, you guys are standing together.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. Don't fuck this up, dude.
And then he says, for those of you that do particularly well in your rounds, there is the possibility that one of you will get a permanent slot tonight. There is one open. And everybody perks up when they say that. And Salas nods and says, yeah, Coprin is quitting. He's done.
I'm not looking for a permanent slot. Nah, I'm just playing.
Yeah, no, but the other fighters are clearly interested in that, and they sort of murmur, that they've actually figured that this Capron guy was going to quit a long time ago.
Right.
So they're not exactly surprised that it was Capron. They're surprised somebody quit. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, because if you have a good slot, I see it. But I'm not interested. I was just playing along to make sure I can keep an eye on Verde. Sorry, YOLO. Sorry, YOLO.
Oh, I mean, Verde's still accurate. Yeah, so they divvy out rounds. Jory, you're fighting in round 3.
Hey.
YOLO, you're fighting in round ooh, hold on a second. You're fighting in round 6.
Okay.
Okay. At that point, once they've given everybody their rounds, they say, don't forget, if you're not here by the 20th bell, you're going to have a problem because you're not going to be able to get ready for your fight and you're going to go out cold.
Yep.
We'll let you in at the last minute, but try to be here early.
Yep, we heard it.
All right. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you later.
See you later.
All right. I look over at YOLO and I'm like, all right, man, here we go.
Yeah,
I got rabbit kicks. You got some rabbit kicks? I got some rabbit kicks.
Well, we got 11
I'm
out.
totally joking. Like I'm doing it for funsies. Like I'm literally popping up and down on my rabbit legs. Like, ha ha! I got rabbit kicks. You got rabbit kicks. You got rabbit kicks. Just totally fucking joking because at this point,
doing the bouncing on your, swapping your stance back and forth as you bounce.
Pop, 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 pop. Can you jump like this? You can't jump like this. Just kidding though. Because my legs are 100% different than what they're supposed to fucking be, and at this point, I'm just embracing the absurdity. I'm loving it. We're here. Whatever. We're here. Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm dead. I got hit by a truck, and now I'm a rabbit.
So are rabbit kicks like a cereal for rabbits, and then like kids want to eat it, but then they get like
They can't. No.
Silly
Stop.
people.
silly people.
Rabbit
Rabbit
kicks are
kicks
for
are
rabbits.
Exactly.
No, though, but like you're a cat person. You ever pet a cat that doesn't want you to pet them, and they're rolled over on their belly, and you're scrubbing their belly, and they do the thing with their back legs? That's called rabbit kick.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
On target.
that's all I'm saying. They will cut the fuck out of you.
All right.
Well,
we've
now.
got our objective. We should probably head to the
Hanging Citadel.
yeah.
One day, I'm gonna have fucking Jory sharpen his fucking rabbit claws, like sharpen them good, so he can do some attack that's literally like tear your guts out.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think the rabbit folk have that that attack option. So you'd have to treat that as like like having a cestus on your foot.
I know we'd have to do something, but I mean, just consider the mechanics. It's absolutely.
Yeah, no, I totally see it. Yep, it's viable. I totally get where you're going with that.
I just tear.
All right, so the Hanging Citadel, you guys have been told, is in the yards, which is east. That's the other west, northwest of
northwest.
If you look at the map and you see the sort of like brown walled in area in the crook of the hill on the northern side there,
Mm-hmm.
the Hanging Citadel is that light blue building that's built into the side of the hill.
This thing here.
Yeah, there's no ping.
I know, it pisses me off, but this thing here, if you're looking at my screen.
So the entrance to the yards from the city proper is that sort of like southern gate that's right there at the turn of the wall there.
It looks like there's two little entrances.
There are actually three entrances to the yard. One from outside the city entirely. One on the south, which enters the sort of like city common, let's call it. and then one on the north that opens up to a region called Noblesfeld, where basically all the rich people have their mansions and shit.
Do we know any of this?
You actually did get this breakdown from Gralf on
nice.
day 1, but that was like 3 sessions back. So,
All right. Well, what's the plan, my friends?
Yeah, we'll probably just start heading on over to it, unless we're stopped by city guards or something.
On the main road, just bump, bump, bump.
yeah, no, the streets are starting to, fill up with, people going about their day. As you leave the sort of like central districts, one thing that you notice is this massive sort of building in the northeast corner there. You'll come right by it as you head up the road to get to the yards. Here, let me enter drawing mode so that I can at least point it out. Here, we'll do this.
Hello, my name's the Dungeon Master, and I like to do drawing.
So that building,
thing.
that building right there, is huge.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
You don't see the big pink square on the building?
Oh, way over here. You mean this guy?
Correct.
Right then. Found it.
I mean, I'm not looking at your stream, but
Found it.
That is very clearly the Adventurers Guild. And I say very clearly because it's literally the only part of town where you've seen people that look kind of like you hanging out.
Right.
What I mean is, people in armor with swords and very obvious, like on the nose, central casting adventurer types.
Correct. Yeah. Sell swords.
Yeah. Also, it's the only place before noon where people are in the fancy part of town and, drunkenly vomiting into fountains and things like that.
Because they're gathering around waiting for someone to come up and be like, hey, I need 8 of you to help move my home.
Right. So, like, if the whole building is tall, it's like 6 stories tall, right? But, like, there's stairs that lead up to this sort of, like, central plaza on the 2nd story. And it's obviously like a patio in the modern sense, right? There's places for people to sit, and it's populated entirely by adventurers who are clearly literally just loafing about. So they're drinking, they're being rowdy, you know what I mean? There's a sort of like party like atmosphere.
I want to make a comment about the store type, and I feel like it's horribly inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yes. I know what you're gonna say. You're here. You want me to jump on this grenade for you? You're saying you mean like the outside of a home improvement store,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
What you're gonna say? ... I'm looking for some help building my patio. I'm looking for some help offloading all this trash. I'm looking for some help wrecking this shit. Yeah.
I mean the building's
wrecking these dwarves. I'm looking for some help killing this goblin hive. I'm looking for some help with the bear.
Right. The building's big, right? So there's probably stuff that goes on inside, but that is definitely the vibe you get from the crowd hanging around outside at least.
Right? I need some bread and some ale. For bread and ale,
you need to go gather herbs? I can help you gather herbs.
Right? For bread and ale, I'll help you. Hey, do you know the way across the nearest mountaintop that isn't actually the one where everybody gets robbed? I know the way that doesn't get robbed. I know the way because I work for the people that rob people.
Right, because I'm the one that robs. Never mind.
I mean, never mind. But if you give me 50 gold, I will take you the way that doesn't get robbed. And if you get robbed, it'll cost you 50 whole gold.
Yep. If you're with me, no raider's going to show up and rob you.
Right? $50.
Because I'm the raider.
Well, dumb. I don't have to do it like that. I can actually press that.
I was going to say, you have that effect.
I have that actual button, but I hold on.
That's pretty funny. The other noticeable attraction is there's a big sort of like nice. There's a big sort of like central hill just east of the Adventurers Guild with a Notre Dame scale like cathedral dominating its sort of like southern tip, and a complex of other very obviously religious buildings off the top of this hill here. Even though you were told that Laris and Salis Stables was the oldest building to survive in the city, you strongly suspect, after looking at the temple on this hill, that they meant, other than the temple.
Right.
Because the buildings they're of the sort that you couldn't burn down. You know what I mean? And they're
as
obviously,
you said, made mostly of stone, like obviously old.
right.
Yeah.
And in the case of the cathedral, it has like it's very clearly old because the patina has changed the color, but it has this obvious like hammered copper sort of like roofing system that
Totally
has since turned greenish blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen the Oudkirk in Amsterdam and
Bingo.
understand that
You
was
get what
like,
I'm saying then. Yeah, for sure.
this thing was built in the 11 to 1200s, and still here it is right before me. Like,
Yeah, you totally get it. And it's very
moderately
clearly
mind-blowing for an American, because Americans, like, there is no American city that existed when this church was built. None.
right.
Period.
And if there was, the white folk that showed up burned it down.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Way to be woke, but yes, you are correct. Yeah. What I'm saying is there's nothing we would have thought of as a I'm not going to dig any more holes for myself. You are correct.
Yeah, so moving north along the road, you come to a bend, and there's a whole like complex of I would call them like monasteries, like religious dorms, I guess, for lack of a better word. And I say that they're religious because they're very clearly festooned with symbols of the Church of Absolution, and everyone you see coming and going is dressed kind of like that Ray Fander guy was.
Right.
And that district, like the sort of eastern edge of it, is right there at the gate to the yards, which is guarded by a couple of bored-looking guards. When I say bored, I don't mean that they're like lackadaisical. They're not, they're doing their job, but you can tell
They're
that they
just
don't
like,
actually expect trouble. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Where are we, by the way? You can't ping.
Whoa, guards! Trouble!
God damn it. No, you can't ping. Oh, wait, you can. Nice.
No, you can't. That was me trying to move that thing and it not working.
Nice. Well done. I'm going to follow you. All right, here we are.
There is a party token.
Just trying to keep the narrative where it's supposed to be, right? Like, people paying attention.
I tried to move the party token earlier. It didn't want to move.
Oh, guards! We have
I don't know
a
what was up with
message.
that. Yeah, so you approach. At first, the guards don't like make any move to stop you or anything, but when it becomes obvious that you're actually, walking up to them, they stand up more straight, when they say, "What's your business here?"
We have a message. A parcel.
Couriers, huh? Let me see.
Here it is. Here it is. Don't break the seal.
Don't give it over to him. Don't give it over to him. Let him look.
I'm not.
Don't
I'm showing it.
him.
I'm showing it.
I love your new accent. That's fun.
It's actually. It should be ringing because it's all in a bucket helmet too.
Right. Exactly. A bucket helmet that looks like straight out of Morrowind, I might add.
Yep, indeed.
Because it's got those fucking pointy ears and shit.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So one of them sort of like bends down and peers at it, looks up at you all and goes, really? Bias? Uh, and
Come
they
on,
look at
man.
each
You know
other.
you wanna.
They look at each other and they go, I guess you can go through?
Thank you. And
Uh,
I
Yeah,
walk on
we're gonna
past.
save the world.
Watch yourselves.
Why?
They don't say anything else. That was like half muttered.
Guys, don't leave me hanging.
Who's driving us?
Yeah, I don't know who's moving you guys around right now. It's not me.
That might have been me.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, they don't.
I'm not sure, but it's not me.
They go back to studiously ignoring you.
I'm gonna continue and hang out with all the people because I'm here mostly to make sure that my son Verde doesn't get dead, but also my friends that I play games with don't have bad times, even though I'm a fucking rabbit. And holy crap, I'm starting to get to this really cynical sort of like, if this is what's happening, well, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Here.
So the yards is a military base.
This place,
Very
let's get
clearly.
out.
Right down to people parading down the street, practicing marching drills. Some of these buildings are clearly like stables. There is a couple of buildings that are very clearly forges. There is a large archery range in which people are training with longbows. It's a military base. Nobody seems particularly interested in you other than, idly watching as you walk by. So you feel pretty safe so far, but you're basically just walked into a military base.
There are
outta
guards
here.
standing on the opposite end of the gate.
Get out of
There
here.
are not. That said, the gatehouse is very clearly like the gatehouse that you walked through has like murder holes and arrow slits that you can look up and see there are people manning,
Which way's the fucking Hanging Citadel?
If you were to look at the map, which of these buildings do you think would have the name the Hanging Citadel?
The one on the cliff. The blue roof.
That seems pretty fair.
What's the church-looking building?
Which one do you consider the church-looking building?
Across from the archery range.
The white one?
Yeah.
You would guess a barracks. It's kind of ornate, but judging from just the state of dress of people coming and going from it, it looks like it's a place people sleep.
Yeah, the Hanging Citadel is the thing that we are progressing directly towards right now, from right to left.
Correct.
If I read that right, yeah, exactly. So we are basically there now.
Right. So the Hanging Citadel, it definitely lives up to its name. So I mean, I call it a hillside, but it's pretty steep, so it's almost a cliff. But this hillside is about 125 feet from top to bottom. And the castle, dominated by a tower at the top of the hill, is literally built in tiers all the way down. So, all things told, it's probably about 11 stories tall. That said, it's a fortress, so a lot of that is like walls and parapets. There are basically three main buildings inside, which are the blue-roofed buildings plus the tower. There are a set of stairs that go up about 15-20 feet. Actually, that's probably about 30 feet. They go up from the ground level about 30 feet, leading to like courtyards and entranceways to those buildings. There is also at the termination of the road a large, currently closed, like portcullis and gate. that you would guess probably leads into some sort of built into the wall sort of like staging area for troops.
Yeah.
It
This-
is absolutely manned. It is the sort of like nerve center of the military base. All of the traffic that is not training soldiers comes and goes from these buildings. As you approach, you don't even get the chance to split off to any of the particular staircases before you are met by somebody wearing a dark blue tabard over what you would guess is full plate, though you can't really tell. I mean, technically it could be half plate, I guess.
Sure.
Ayo.
And they approach and they say, "Can I help you? What business do you have in the Citadel?"
Couriers
bad.
for Briar. We have a message from people.
I am but a holy messenger.
People.
Rayfander.
I protect those that I travel with in the name of the most holy.
They look at you and they say, "Absolver, Rayfander?
Yes.
What are you here to deliver? Let me see that."
I can hold it for you, but the seal isn't supposed to be broken by anybody but Briar.
Bias, by the way.
Bias. Sorry.
Knights Captain Bias.
Knights Captain Bias. He'll surely know if the seal has been broken.
Well, they say, it looks legitimate. Come with me. You're in luck. She's in a good mood today.
Here to ensure that no one breaks the seal on this holy device, this missive. Indeed, I am here to ensure that all ascribe to all of the ethical and most excellent behaviors with regard to this missive. I should be included.
Right. This way. And they lead you.
I will come along.
Yeah, they lead you up one of the 3-story staircases. Take you into a building. Proceed to walk down multiple corridors, ultimately going back down at least one flight of stairs before you were led to a through darkened hallways into a cramped office. And when I say office, I mean that like the vibe is pure like
Don't touch
high
my
school
stapler.
counselor, yeah, or like
They moved me to the basement.
Sorari man in the shitty office, like
Right, yeah.
There
You
is
don't have a window. There's no window.
There is no. This is underground at this point, like in the hill. You know what I mean? There are no windows.
That's what I'm saying. Like they even took my stapler.
Yeah, the air is shitty because most of the place is lit by torchlight. The office has some gas lamps. Like it's actually fairly well lit. But
I will make the joke as we're walking down there. They even took my stapler.
Right. But yeah, sitting behind a large desk at the back of the office is Knights Captain Bias, who is a sort of like Karen-ish woman. She has dark black hair.
Sorry to people that watch this show whose name is Karen.
Down to the shoulders, and a very severe look with pinched lips.
Hem.
She wears the same blue tabard and some amount of plate armor, though her helmet is off, and her gauntlets are sitting on the table, and she has her feet propped up on the desk. When you all walk in, you note that the person who guided you does not enter with you, first of all. You realize as you step in, though, that's because there's literally not enough space, even if they wanted to.
In her closet, yeah.
And you get the impression that they don't want to. Instead,
Right.
they say,
She's a bitch. Yeah.
they have a message for you, Knights Captain. It seemed urgent. It's from the church. And then they turn and walk away as fast as they can.
I note this, I assume.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Right, okay. Yeah, I will laugh out loud. And
Knights Captain Bias.
I will
We
also
have
step a
only
little bit
heard
behind
good
Verde
things.
so that Verde's in front of me because Verde's in charge.
I hold out a hand with the missive in it as I say that.
Oh, what did you say? I missed that.
Knights Captain Bias, we have heard only good things. And instead of handing out like a handshake, I hand out the missive.
Gotcha. Well, she snatches it out of your hand, sort of kicking her feet back down to the ground and leaning forward in one motion as she does. And she says, "From Rafander, huh?" And she begins.
Oh yes, we helped him out with a little issue.
Yeah, she breaks open the seal. As you say that, she says, "Oh, that was you then?"
What? Just maybe read the yeah, it was.
You
twitch
turn
my
the sky
ears, look
orange
right on
for
the
a while
shoulder.
there, did you?
That wasn't me. I think it was him. Was it you?
I don't know if the sky turned orange, but what I do know what happened is that we banished a pungent morass of evil from leaking into our dimension that was from the misgivings of some ancient cook. I think it was a cook, right? This Amber Wizard.
Yeah, the Amber Wizard was some sort of culinary
Yeah, something like that.
experimenter.
The only two notes that I remember are of two things are Amber Wizard, and he had an underling named Iken Fallender.
Yeah. Oh, and that it was a spice cave where we found the thing that was causing the blight.
If you want to be an adventurer, you've got to get with my cave.
Wait, she says, looking up from the letter. Did you just say that you solved the blight?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was what we did. Yeah, we did that.
Huh. At this point, I mean, her look is no longer like angry, but more like, you're so full of shit. Give me a second though. I gotta pee.
All right. Good master. That said, cynical and you're so full of shit is basically where Jory exists right now. Is, oh shit, I'm dead? I'm actually dead unless I play along with this fucking world? Well, alright then. Here we go. Let's do it. I'm a rabbit, bitch. You know.
You've been there for the entire campaign so far.
Yeah, that's basically. Well, no. In the beginning, I was trying to feel my way around, but now I'm exactly where I described. And yes, you are correct.
I would say you've been that way for a while now, sir.
Yeah, I'm like, have you seen any of the any of the previous streams?
Why would I watch a stream? I act the stream.
So you can remember what happened?
Oh shit! Yeah, that's usually a good idea.
I mean, it feels like, yeah, every time you have these revelations, and by the end of the session, maybe you've had enough to drink that you forgot that your character had these revelations. And so it happens again the next episode.
You know what's cool? It's like,
that was the thing that was like the good and the bad of Final Fantasy 12 for me. Is like, I liked how much story they tried to put in, but it just felt like every like quarter of a zone or whatever, it's everybody get together, talk out your feelings, group hug, and then move on to the next one. And that got a little boring after a while with that game.
I feel like it's more like, Dragon Ball Z, where it's like every episode or every season you have the same culmination and the same, realization.
I thought you were talking about you're going to get 15 minutes of what happened last episode, 5 minutes of what actually happened this episode, and then 20 minutes of what's going to happen next episode.
But then also, what's the current fight that's going to take 3 episodes to get to the end of?
Oh, so you never actually finished DBZ?
That's what. Oh no, I said DBZ. I was talking about DBZ. No, DBZ is what I was talking about.
Only 3 episodes?
Yeah, we're not going Ultimate. We're not talking
so
about
it's an
Ultimate.
early fight.
Right.
No, later DBZ, like those fights were 1, 2,
I
3,
was a
4, 5, 6, 7,
fan
8,
of
9,
Dragon Ball, where they actually got all
10
the balls
episodes?
and summoned the dragon, and
He
then
did that like 3 times.
yeah,
4,
that
5 times.
stopped happening. That stopped happening. All of a sudden, it happened to be like, this is a weird demon that eats candy. I was just like, what? I don't know what's going on anymore.
Boo.
Well, he's like an alien.
Kinda. Wasn't alien.
Man,
They're all
no,
aliens.
He wasn't an alien. Majin
There
Buu
are-
was a man-made
They're
creature.
all aliens.
Yeah.
I thought.
Oh, you're right. I didn't realize who he was talking about.
Majin Buu eats candy.
He does. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was the advanced android thingies of. No, that was a different one.
You know
Never mind.
better than I do, my friend.
And Android are totally different.
I have
Anyway,
no fucking
back on
idea.
target.
Yep. What's going on?
Yeah. So she like I said, she looked at you kind of like yeah, right. And she says, so then when you folks lit up the sky a few days back, that was you curing the blight.
Yes.
As she says this, she sort of like roots around her desk, pulls a clean piece of paper out and a pen, and she starts jotting stuff down as she holds up the letter. And she jots a bunch of stuff down, looks at it, crumples it up, stuffs it into a drawer in her desk, and says, well, Ray Fander says you're the real deal. Legit summoned by the gods' heroes.
That's what they said. I say,
That was a
twitching
weird
my
thing.
ears.
As I understand it from her,
Oh my. She says, yeah, you're my first. I gotta say.
Really? People don't try to pretend to be heroes all the time.
No, there's really not much value in pretending to be a hero of the gods. I mean, I feel sorry for you if I'm being honest.
What? Because we don't have a choice.
I mean, we do have a choice. Even the goddess herself said we had a choice.
Yeah, she said we could live out our additional lives here. Like, I could go find myself a job at a tavern and
but
just
there's
go.
always a
It's-
reason to keep stepping
it's-
forward.
It's an equal exchange. You feel bad for us for the responsibility that we have, and I feel bad for you for what happens if we fail it.
She called me a loser.
Yeah, I mean, you're
You called my son a loser, by the way.
We have the agency to save the world. You are just at the mercy of whatever we're able to do. And that's, I feel bad for you because we're not infallible, at least as far as we're aware.
As you,
Yeah. She doesn't say anything for a moment. However, a look crosses her face as if maybe she smelled something unpleasant.
oh no.
And she says, I hate to be the one to break it to you. And it's very clear that she does not hate to be the one to break it to you.
Yeah.
But she says,
All right, stinky bitch.
you're not the
What?
first heroes the gods have summoned. You're just the current batch that's still alive.
Great.
Oh, can
Right.
you tell us about some of the ones before us?
I will look up and look right into her eyes and go, right? I knew this was the case.
Yeah.
On the other hand, she says, the Knights Army of Galander has kept the tide from washing over this country for centuries now. I like our odds.
Yeah.
I feel sorry
That's-
for yours.
That's just the scenario, young lady. It's the scenario. It's the box set.
I have a silly question, and I think you'd be the perfect person to answer it.
I say it just like that too. I say it's the box set.
Why did Wraithander send us here as quickly as he did, like he did when the sky went orange?
She sighs and she says, because Rafander wanted to make you my problem.
Oh,
You
If
though.
the rest of the church had gotten to you first, you would have been their problem.
Well, I guess if we're your problem, you can at least turn that problem into a solution. I'm sure there's some adventure or something that you'll probably want us to go on to go investigate something somewhere nearby as part of a, I don't know, adventuring commission or something. And once we solve it, then you can pass the buck and move us to the next place. Is that about what we should be expecting here?
That's hilarious. I'm gonna juggle my hand axe.
She kind of nods at that and she says, well, I suppose that's generally how it works, right? Have you consulted the powers yet?
The powers
The
consulted
power
us.
told us what was up.
no.
We're only
Literally,
here
all
because of
Wraithander did was
powers.
pat us on the head, told us to get here as quickly as possible.
No, I think that they forgot that the powers told us what was up when we got here.
Right. We are only
there's
here
other-
because of quote the powers.
We're here because of a power. As I understand it, there are 4 powers here. This lady's asking if we've conferred with the other 3 powers.
Why would we do that? That sounds like terrible.
Oh, we just
Yeah,
got
oh,
here.
shit.
We
She
haven't-
rolls her eyes and she says, it's the steps, man. It's the steps.
Oh yeah, see, somebody
It's
was
like a
talking about
recipe.
steps.
If
So
you
we
need to have
talk
all
to
these
the
particular
elves,
ingredients
too?
and mix them in a specific way,
Is it the
and
Tower
then
of
you get the
Myrrh?
beautiful cake at the end.
Some of them are probably dicks.
Where
Do you
is
want
the
to
actual
consult
Tower
with the
of
fucking
Myrrh,
court
by the
of
way? Is that an
dickheads?
actual
No.
thing?
Court of dickheads. That's great. That's my new Fae group.
Right?
God.
Do you want to just go like, oh, and then there's also the Schlong Lords. We ought to confer with the Schlong Lords just in
Yeah.
case. No.
all right.
No.
No, what are the 4
Focus.
powers though to help us kind of point on our way here? I understand.
What is the steps of the recipe? Like,
Yeah.
Don't forget about the
let's
elves.
take it back to the essence. You said that there's an order to
Tower
the
of
process.
Myrrh. There's also
What
the
do we need to
Tower
do?
Right. She says, not from here. Your first step's probably going to be the temple then. Don't tell them who you are, or they're going to send you on their own version of the steps. And let me tell you, nobody they've sent has survived.
Divine
That
sense.
said, the scriptures do lay out the path of the hero. Get yourself a copy of the scriptures. You're going to need them.
Use divine sense and see if this person stinks.
No, she does not. She is not Fey, Archfiend, or Undead.
I'm undead.
No strong evil. The presence of strong evil registers on my senses like a noxious odor.
Correct. She does not stink of evil. The stink of evil.
The stink of evil.
No,
Exactly.
Okay, so get a holy
I
book.
just remembered
reading
that I
the
can be like,
scriptures to be able to do the thing.
I'm gonna do it. Are you stinky? Do you smell like evil?
she says, the church has interpreted some of the steps in ways that I think get their heroes killed. Refander, he had a theory, you see. He thinks, and she kind of looks at you for a minute. She says, he thinks Demira doesn't necessarily want you to know what to do, that she wants her heroes to actually rise to the challenge on their own. So she's planted false leads, sort of tests, if you will, among her faithful. Rafander doesn't have any proof of this, and I'm not going to lie, Rafander's kind of,
Out there.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. He has his own theories on how the church ought to work. Let's put it that way.
And that's why he was taking care of the blight problem.
Right. Yeah. She like air quotes
Taking care of, right?
We all have redundancy problems that we put people in that we don't want to deal with. Some things are true no matter where you go.
It's kind of funny, she says, actually. He thought that if the blight could be cured, then the path for the heroes would be illuminated. I'm guessing that didn't quite work out the way he expected. After all, you're here.
The
Did
thing
any
that got
plan
illuminated was the thing that blew up behind us on the way out, so maybe not that, but we did manage to find our way here pretty safely.
Right. Well, I'm no priest. And his note, and she flips it around so that you can see that it's encrypted, it's gibberish. She says, his note didn't tell me what to do with you.
Crazy.
Well.
Oh, you could treat us like he did as general adventures that answer to you and work things that direction.
I would like a license to quest in the Heroes Guild.
Well, I don't run the Adventurers Guild.
Yeah, but you're
well,
a patron.
That's really optimistic. Most times, no. Like, they understand the need for them, but they usually don't employ adventurers. No.
Yeah, no. You have not seen a single adventurer type in the yard since you came through the gate.
Nope.
Military is military. Military will mobilize military units to take care of a problem.
Correct. We're going to be signing up as essentially a Blackwater
Adventurers
group.
are the...
Yeah. Adventurers are the clandestine group that you send to do things that you either don't want to send your official people to, or maybe it requires some discretion.
Oh, not
Correct.
even that. It's more...
We're Blackwater group.
No, we're the public group. We're the people that handle the jobs by the commoners, the merchants, that sort of thing. Military will only mobilize military. Like, they don't utilize adventurers unless there's like... If there was a horde of army of demons at the gate tomorrow, then they would mobilize the adventurers, maybe.
Right, but they would probably unleash the prisoners in the fortress prison of Marsden first, because that's
right.
For.
Again, like,
well, if they wanted just everyday just army, but what if they want targeted force? If they want people that are
they have a specialized unit for that, they would not mobilize
us.
No, not us. If we're calling ourselves adventurers.
Right. So to give you, a more modern equivalent of what the fortress prison is, it's where they make their Sardaukar. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Right. Like, the people that survive the fortress prison of Marsden are kept alive and feral, for lack of a better way to put it, specifically so that if there is a demon problem, they can just open the gates
and
turn them out. Right. At it. Yeah.
Exactly.
They're dog soldiers. You know what I mean? They're like...
Correct. Yeah, I hear it.
Right. And like I said, like in this situation, again, military would not be... They don't use adventurers at all. They most likely generally don't like adventurers.
Well, so where are we in this whole dialect?
Either A, we become adventurers and we just do side jobs for her, or B, they actually make us a full-on unit, which I don't see them making us a unit because there's rules, regulation.
I mean, honestly, the size of this person's office is a pretty good indicator that you're not going to get a commission in the military.
Exactly. So we might be able to do some freelance work.
No, we're going to be some fucking secret. Yeah, we're going to be some off books. We take the money. We do some cool shit. Right? That's where we are.
I don't know if she's going to be able to swing even that.
Yeah, she hasn't made any sort of mention of that yet. So
like if it comes to a place where that's appropriate to put in, I'll be like, so what's happening is we're going to be
being here is a waste of our time.
We're here.
Did you say that out loud?
Yeah.
She says, well, it's certainly a waste of my time.
Oh, yeah. Great. So what's the goal here? I will then pipe up. What's the goal? What do you offer us?
I mean,
Hopefully
you came
not
to
a quick
me.
death. Wraithender told us to.
Yeah,
Said
we
he
were
consolation.
said to you, if you didn't have
I was
any
drunk.
clear
I didn't
objective,
remember
then,
that.
I don't know, supply us with whatever material resources you can, slap us on our butts, and we'll be on our way to try to save the world in whatever way we can figure out.
My friends
I'd
dragged
most
me
likely-
along here, ma'am.
Most likely.
Verde, there's no way to slip out.
Doors
It's
open.
like
No,
no,
it's not.
I get that. It's not. The issue isn't that the door is open. The issue is that the room is so small, you will displace people on your way out. You cannot inconspicuously leave.
Exactly.
Oh.
But I will actually totally play the card I just played and said, "Woman, I've been drunk since we got here. I'm just following my friends. What's going on?"
Fantastic, she says.
We'll catch him up
I'll
later.
stand up to my full height and go, "Right? I know."
Tell me, she says, what do you even do? I'm certain the goddess gave you certain gifts. What are they?
The goddess giving me gifts?
We can cook some really good food, cast some spells.
Oh no.
fight some stuff.
She's
Is
asking
that
what
the
my
sort of-
class is. I'm
Okay, are you
hey,
asking specifically what
lady,
jobs we have or like
get cool.
abilities?
Just let's breathe together. Can we breathe together? Just right.
No.
Keep an eye. Look in my eyes. Let's breathe
Right.
together.
They don't have a concept of class for what it's worth, not in the sense that you're talking about it.
No, I know, but I would say it anyway because I'm saying it to my friends.
Why are you being snarky, by the way, sir?
I'm not.
She's
being
not
snarky.
upset. You're asking her to breathe with you and she's not upset right now.
I'm a monk, man. I'm trying to bring you down to my I got a vibe. We got a vibe.
Dude, no, you're going to
We
piss
gotta
her
come
off.
down.
You're pissing
No,
her off.
it's
Please
about
stop.
your heart. It's about my
No.
heart. We
No.
have to come together and
No.
just breathe the same breath.
No.
We have to share our breath.
No.
It's time to share our breath. And
she's
then we
effectively
will...
she's effectively asking you what your trick is.
My trick? Look, lady,
Right.
I just think we all need to vibe together.
barbarian.
We all need to
Would you
need
please
to understand our vibration and
Yeah,
come together.
Neuro
and-
had the right idea with his answer for what it's worth.
What
Right.
did Neuro say? I didn't hear it.
Oh, that
Because you were
we can cook some good food, we can fight stuff, we can cast some spells, we can make some like magical foods and stuff to keep people alive if we need to.
Oh,
And we
true.
can
Oh, yeah.
figure stuff out. Most
Can't
importantly,
everyone do
I don't really know how else to explain this, but we have somewhat of an otherworldly understanding of the rules and mechanics that govern this universe that give us a sort of advantage that people
Oh, indeed.
from this universe would not necessarily have available, and so that's really our trick. We can do all these things. We're very strong and able-bodied.
I thought my personal trick is what was being asked. My personal trick is that I'm very much a monk.
You mean that
sort
thing
of.
you do
Okay.
with your tail?
That's funny.
I do a thing with my tail.
Okay, she says, now we're talking. You say that you have some advantage over those of us who are from here.
Correct.
Do we?
Would you
No
call
thanks.
this a tactical advantage?
Oh yeah.
can
Is this
become
Oh, we
something
were
you
brought
would
here by
use
a
in?
goddess.
Is this something you would use in combat, or is this
Yeah.
something?
It can be
In
used
in combat
Oh,
and everything
certainly, like-
leading up to it and afterward. If we've got to sneak by something, if we've got to deal with a room full of traps, whatever it is, we'll find the way.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean we're only here because of the goddess, right?
I stare
As
at her
you were
really
saying,
hard.
no, you said
If
something
you
about
listen
those
to us
chosen
and give us
of the
enough
goddess.
time,
It's
I-
like not
Okay,
that
Guys,
I
anybody
stare at
wanted
her
to be,
really
but
hard.
here we are.
Yeah. What are you
We-
looking
we're-
for, Watson?
Proof in the pudding. I stared really hard with perception. What do I get querying the system about her?
Ah, okay.
Nice.
Knights Captain Alestri Baeus is actually a Knights Captain in the army of Galander. Hold on, let me pull up her record for you.
Just
oh
for
gosh,
him, not for all
where
of
is
us.
it? No, he gets it as a system message. See,
Right, because
Yep.
he pulled it up. Yep, I get it.
And I got a good roll
Smart
too.
boy.
okay. Alestri Bias is the daughter of Lord Bias, the head of state and titular king of the Kingdom of Galander. However, this is a fact that she does everything she possibly can to distance herself from. She views her father as something of a disappointment, having accepted the position of king by unanimous election, despite once swearing to her that he would never sacrifice his honor by dabbling in the political aspect of the knighthood. Nonetheless, when the time came and the election was called, he accepted his position. This makes her a de facto, if not explicit, ally of Baroness Salen, her commander-in-chief, even though she doesn't necessarily see eye to eye with Salen's suspicion of the Church of Absolution, of which she is a devout member. She's a somewhat radicalized member of her family, in fact, as a result of her association with Absolver Rayfander and the Church at large.
Okay, what would I be able to read off of that to her to give an example of what we were talking about?
She's the daughter of the king, and that's a thing that nobody has mentioned.
I mentioned that to give you an example. I know you're the daughter of the king.
She sort of looks up, startled, at that, and she says, "So your gift revealed that?"
Yep.
That was neat. I didn't know that. I was
That's
really
neat.
Focus on her for a hot minute and think about doing a perception check on her.
See, I was honestly, I was gonna go a different route with this, but absolutely. Actually, I got a different idea.
That
Damn it.
you know,
Okay.
I'm
It's
not
not
thinking
really
of the right
working.
commands or something. I feel like I'm just staring at you and probably uncomfortable.
But yeah, no, I got that from you.
Seriously?
You
Oh
know,
my god.
and you know, I'm sure this is really awkward because you've got like 4 distinctly different heights of eye lines that you've got to look at, and I've been seeing your eyes bounce up and down as you glance across us. That's gotta be weird. I'm sorry about that. We could have at
Damn,
least
fuck
like
these
stood
guys.
in height
These
order
guys
or
are dead.
something.
Burn 'em.
Hey, roll insight for me, Phalian. Also, Illo, I don't know if you remember this, but you have a feat called Alone Together.
I'm using it right now, and I just took
Oh.
1d4 damage.
I also forgot something. Since I rolled that one, I'm actually gonna re-roll because I'm a lucky boy. So I'm gonna give that perception another shot.
Lucky
Much better.
boy.
Yep. If I roll a 1, it ain't a 1 no more.
So I took 1d4 psychic damage. But
I'm sorry.
I also got a 16 on my history check on her.
Okay. Amongst the army of Galander, a message tells you, Alestri Baeus has the nickname the School Marm. Apparently, she has been the best instructor of troops, basically in the entire history of the Knights Army of Galander. However, yeah, I guess this would be in the report. However, this is because her instruction basically involves sending people headlong into battle with her without training and keeping the people
Awesome.
who survive.
Nice. I mean,
Yeah, I
that's a
do a long
strategy.
whistle when I basically recite all of that, you know. Like,
That's
wow.
how I play
The
XCOM,
marm.
right?
School marm.
Okay, I'm going to move on to a few of the other roles that folks were making there. Phalian and Watts. One thing that you have noticed, she seems to like not. She seems to be explicitly doing everything she can to not look at Jory. You would typify this behavior as instinctual, like involuntary, maybe. Instinctual, I guess, is the better way to put it. Like you would,
Damn these dice.
like you would not. God, what's the way I'm looking? I want to say this. Like you would deliberately not look at a thing that you knew bothered you, or perhaps was offensive to you.
Burn these dice.
Like, if you walked into a room and there was a massive pile of shit on the rug, you would probably, maneuver your eyes around it if you were trying not to recognize it as a
Fuck
massive
this
pile
lady.
of shit.
Fuck this lady. Fuck this lady. Fuck this lady.
Are you still just rolling turds there?
God damn, they suck. These dice suck. I'm gonna burn them as soon as I can get them. Where's the I don't have the prompt in my thing.
So you
here.
probably have it covered up by the map,
The little furnace
Oh,
in
I
the
bet
lower
you're right.
right?
right? Because you
Oh,
probably
I
didn't
do.
make the
It's,
map to your desktop. Yep.
No, you're totally right. You're totally right. That's exactly.
Let's see.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
I will take mustard
Failure.
colored fucking. I will take mustard dice for the fact.
Oh, that's a horrible set.
Yeah, that's
No.
a terrible roll, dude.
That's because they got them all out early. You'll
No,
see.
I'm saying, okay. I'll
You'll
take your word
see.
for it.
Dude, it's the whole fucking. That is the the parable of the gambler fallacy
The
thing.
fallacy of the dice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know me. Anyway.
Yep. Yep. Phalian. You get pretty much you actually get a system message as you apply your perception,
Hey,
just
you
like
might be right.
everybody else. It mostly contains the information that you've heard me give to other people. However, you do get one additional note. And it's vague, but it says hides a secret.
Whoa. Hides a secret.
Interesting.
A little better.
The our
Pretty,
gift
though.
revealed something to me with very little detail. It says you hide some secret. I'm not gonna ask what that is. I don't know what kind of secret it is. A personal thing, a private thing, information that's only privy to the knights, captains, and above. But whatever it is, it's an interesting thing. It must have some meaning or magnitude to it because
Popped up on the message.
it came up when I investigated what the gift would say about you.
Huh.
It's nothing bad.
Well, I suppose we all have our secrets.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's why you don't look to the right, you only look to the left.
She blushes when you say that. She says, well, that is a useful gift, I suppose.
Oh yeah, and
Ravanger was right to send you to me after all.
And I already called her the school marm.
Oh yeah. She I mean, she knows herself well enough to know that the information that you were giving out was accurate. She also appears to be savvy enough that she's not going to pretend otherwise. You know what I mean?
Right.
She thinks about it again and she says, I don't suppose you clean up, do you?
Define cleanup that you need.
About. My skills shall be worn no matter
I laugh
what
and say,
I own.
how does one tie back their ears if they have a rabbit form?
Do you see this cloth? It was of once fine
focus.
quality.
All right. You said about cleaning up. Please elaborate.
You make good spies with information like that. I'd like to put you in the room with certain people, but and she kind of like looks you all over. Looks three of you over, and she says, "I can't get you in a room looking like adventurers."
What?
How about waitstaff?
I don't know. I rolled that 15
I know how to.
charisma.
I know how to cook.
I will just
I know
beam
how
and
to
go.
entertain.
Really though,
Is it the sort of place where
am I not stand out?
perhaps an insect or a small creature would not be noticed? Because as a druid, that is another of my abilities to take an
Shapeshift.
animal form but still retain full access to my gift.
Wait, you can shapeshift?
Yeah, I'm a druid. I'm a very powerful
She
shapeshifter of druid.
she kind of like looks at you and says, "I don't suppose you could demonstrate that."
Do you want to sit in my hand, sir?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you want
Do you have
something
any-
that's going to fill the space here, or is there a specific sort of creature that you have in mind? Perhaps.
No, here. Let me give you some room, actually, and I back up out of the room, giving them some room.
Fair enough.
All
I'll
right,
back into the corner as well.
So
that was pretty slick, Brady.
Very
you
nice.
you can tell me, big or small. You want something big? You want something small?
Small.
All right. Let's go with.
Oh, do you have anything that you're unconsciously afraid of? I know some people
I'm
have phobias.
watching this happen. I'm watching this happen.
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
Of course you are, yeah.
That is
Yeah, okay.
that is a good question. Before I do that, are there any animals that you wouldn't want to be around? Any beasts, any bugs, anything like that that would just freak you out if it appeared in front
Turn
of
yourself
you?
into a spider and they crush you. That might not be cool.
She laughs and she says, I'm a captain in the Knights Army of Gallender. I'm not going to be afraid of
Hey,
a spider."
I don't knock people's fear. I respect fear.
Not even afraid of, but it'd be easy to smash
Anyways,
it.
go for it, man. I'll pick you up and show you to her.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I'm going to turn into a cranium rat.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, you wild shape into a cranium rat. She kind of like she's not exactly shocked. I mean, you told her what you were going to do, but at the same time, she's a little taken aback by how easy that seemed to be for you. And she says, uh, "Well, uh, I don't know that shape's particularly useful." And she kind of points at your exposed brain. But that's a handy skill for sure.
I would
Huh.
shift back afterwards and yeah. Oh, yeah, no, that one's just for show. Unless I have to deal with things that are psychically tedious, then that might give me a certain advantage.
Why is it just bees?
So you take on the shape's abilities too?
Oh, certainly.
Indeed.
The rare I don't know if it would be known by the same name here, a Nyxborn lynx. A creature that is innately magic resistant. Oh yeah, I get that magic resistance when I'm in that creature form.
Interesting. You know, a battalion of you. That would be something.
That'd be frightening. So long as they're on my side, I'd be happy.
That'd,
Otherwise, not so
that'd be
much.
something. I smell Serbiu on the flavor here.
There's the thing that would be a
That
bit
would be
interesting though is that would require a very drastic pivot for the knights to begin studies of the druidic art, specifically that of the moon, which is where I draw my more powerful shapeshifting capabilities. Just a bit of training is all it would take to be able to turn into a bear or turn into a rat or any other sorts of interesting things. But that's a matter of dedication.
Think about
I don't
that.
know if you even have necessarily access to a coven that would be able to train all of those things. And while I could give some of the cursory details, I don't know if I would necessarily be able to take the time to train an entire battalion in the druidic arts.
Indeed, that would take a lot of time.
That would take a lot of time and effort. Maybe one day.
Not just the one, then, she says. All right. Well, I think I can use you. I think I see what Rifander had in mind now. If you're legitimately set on this, then let me explain. I told you what Rifander theorizes about his church, yes?
Yeah.
So, I would like to know to what extent this sort of, and she pauses on the word pandering, she ultimately decides on. I would like to know the extent to which this pandering is happening. If they're tailoring the scripture to would-be heroes, are they tailoring the scripture to us? The loyal followers? Are the adherents of the lady?
Seems like they would be, right?
Doesn't
I
it?
mean,
Doesn't it?
Oh, so you're wanting to see if you have a book of 0, or if there's a deviation.
You understand.
look, we weren't raised here. Like, to us, it's, oh, this is real now? Shit,
Yeah,
what did I remember reading last week in the comic? Right?
Right. So you're wanting to find out exactly, truly, if the word is the word.
Candidly, what Rifander and I both want to know is the church compromised?
Shit! I fucking rolled a roll that rolled.
Hey, nice. What was
you
the
thinking-
focus of that roll?
I was thinking to myself, all right then, from where I am sitting here, really, rabbit form and all, can I feel I'm a paladin. Can I feel my magic? Can I feel my divine sense? Is this shit real or am I just fucking hallucinating like I was a couple weeks ago when I went to that thing in the desert?
It seems real.
And I have a god or a goddess or some divinity.
Eventually.
No.
Paladins don't work that way, remember?
Oh, that's right.
That
No,
they
it's
changed
just
it in
about
5 completely.
That's right. It's just about how pure my belief is
Correct.
in my way of being. But I have this way of being, and it all seems right.
Well,
Are
that's
you
further complicated
concerning
by
that?
the fact that you've seen game-like systems. So,
Right.
you don't think your power is coming from any kind of purity of belief, the way it would have for your D&D character. The best way to put it is you think that's being emulated.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So it's like when I'm like, no, but that doesn't really feel like that's what's happening. It's too mechanical.
Right. Like I said, it's like that's being emulated for you because you're not
Shit.
actually Jory Didlington. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do. Exactly. Well, that's kind of what I
Do
was
you
tasting.
think that
Tasting is for the
demons
best way to put it.
or some such have compromised the church?
God damn. There is no church, man.
Yeah,
Exactly.
she nods and she says, "What I want to know ultimately is whether or not the church actually has a connection to the goddess Demira or not."
Oh, this is a crisis of faith of the
I think it
steepest
might have
magnitude.
not have. I think it might
Out
be
of
that
all of us
this
here,
one
I would be the
person
closest one
doesn't.
to understand what she's talking about because I've also questioned my connection to the goddess. I mean, I'm a cleric. That's what I'm supposed to do.
I've got to ask, Tower of Demira. Is it legend? Is it real?
She takes a deep breath and she says, well, it's legend, but it might also be real. She looks around her office for a moment, and she says, nope, it's not here, damn it. There is a chronicle of the nights that's kept as every night returns to the Citadel. They copy the report of what they've done, what they've been up to since they left into the record, into the chronicles. Some of the volumes, specifically during the last onslaught, talk about visiting Demira, and they talk about ascending her tower. They also, however, say that they walked to Demira's tower, which is in the center of the lake. So, you know how religious experience can be,
Right.
don't you? Question mark. Do you have religious experience where you're from?
Yes. There's a number of different ways that can happen. It can also happen at low tide.
Yes.
Like there's still enough water that looks like there's water there, but not enough to actually make it where you couldn't cross.
Or water walking.
Oh, there's also that.
I suppose.
But no. So the tower's on one of the isles in the lake.
She says, well, the reason that I wouldn't chalk them up to straight hallucination is because each of the accounts from that time returned with a piece of information that was useful to the army, whether it was the location of enemy forces or making us aware of potential problems. Each time, some information that there was really no other explanation for how it could be acquired was brought back.
Unless it was a gift from the goddess.
Right. So, whether there's a real tower or not, there's clearly some way to commune with the goddess out on that lake.
Hear that?
Interesting. Do you think they would have the scriptures that detail that sort of thing, or is it somewhere around in the space somewhere?
Well, my thought was that I would send you to the cathedral.
Would all of us need to go to the cathedral, or would it be better for just one of us to slip in, do what we need to do, and leave?
Well, the cathedral is open to the public, so there wouldn't be any reason for you not to. There wouldn't be any reason for you to need to not be there. That said, discretion is definitely the best play here. You don't want the church to know who you are. By matter of course, we will have no choice but to turn you over to the church if they are aware of your existence.
And that sounds like almost a certified death sentence.
Yep, does indeed.
Whereas yours does seem dangerous, do not get me wrong. It feels as a better chance of survival would be this path.
Well, I can certainly use your skills one way or another. The church will waste them. That's what I fear.
It almost sounds like they waste them on purpose.
That's exactly what I'm afraid of.
Yep. Especially for people like me.
Ray Fander thinks that his church may not be the Church of Demira at all.
Oh.
But the Church of the Demon
false
Lord?
church.
He's found no proof, and again, I'm not entirely certain that I would call his theories
sound
reliable. However, he does suspect that the church may have been infiltrated or otherwise literally created by an entirely different entity to begin with.
Now we're getting somewhere. This is some Lovecraft shit, you guys.
by one of the other three deities of the world, or the one that's
This
trying
is
to
some
invade?
Call of Cthulhu shit, my friends.
She nods and she says, "Well, Rayfander believes it might have been Essel." Essel. She stops and stumbles and realizes you don't know her religion, so she stops and she says, "Essel is a god of complication. He rules over intrigue, chaos, creation. Um,
Not necessarily good, not necessarily bad.
No,
his
but the opposite.
people
The opposite of
were
the open arrow ways.
his people were the dwarves, and they fell." And she stops and
No
sort of
dwarves
like
should live.
makes a gesture of
A warning
like
sign.
futility, actually, like like she's trying to explain something that you obviously don't have the context for, and instead she like stops herself and she says, "Essel is a jealous god, and he might blame Demira for what happened."
Huh.
Did the dwarves call for aid and no aid come?
No, Rayfander thinks that Demira is the goddess of absolution because she seeks it herself.
One who seeks it themselves would know it best. That there's reason to that because, well,
Maybe
the
she's
person
just
to guide
hurt.
someone away from being an alcoholic was once an alcoholic themselves because they know the plight that the person's going through.
Perhaps.
Yeah, she says, as a point of history, a thing that may be lost on you is that Demira, Egrid, Califi, Viar, and Essel all are new gods. They are not the old gods.
So
Correct.
not the gods of, say, the elves.
I don't actually know this really, except that
Mm.
I may have read the books at one point. But really, I do have
Right,
a high religion.
Right. She says, yeah, she says definitely not the gods of the elves.
Yeah, but I'm still not rolling high.
Even calling Essel the god of the dwarves is perhaps a bit of a stretch, in that there were dwarves before there was Essel.
So it's more like Essel inherited the dwarves from the predecessor.
And she says, Rafander has noticed something interesting in our histories as well. The Devil's Maw opens mere generations after the appearance of the new gods, at which point the old gods are never seen again.
Are the new gods possibly new ascendants?
Yeah, crazy. That's What does that mean?
We don't know. We don't even know if it's true. We know that our great grandfathers and grandmothers worshipped gods that we don't.
So 300 years ago, maybe 400 years ago, a whole different pantheon was here.
Does the worship of those gods still have power and potency, or could somebody who derives their power from faith no longer do so from the old gods?
That's a question that you'll have to ask an elf, to be honest. I don't know the answer to that question. We humans have no practice of that sort outside of Demira and her siblings.
Wait, there's no ancient text? Were they all destroyed?
We're a new race
Probably.
then.
She says tentatively. And she kind of like sighs and she says, "This is Rafander's theory, understand. It's not mine. I don't believe that gods can steal a world from other gods. I think that would be a thing that we would notice.
Yeah, I don't think
None-
we as people that are part of the world would notice. I think that the world would change hands. I'm just a writer. I just make this stuff up for a living, but no, I could imagine that.
But his theory is that that's exactly what happened, and that Demira felt guilty, and thus took on the role of the goddess of absolution, seeking a solution for herself.
Say.
We have many questions for her then. Do you think we should seek counsel from the elves before we seek her
Am I
counsel?
even a paladin, you guys? I don't even know.
She says, well, it wouldn't hurt, and traditionally, they are one of the powers to consult as part of the steps.
Since I'm not from here, what is the actual checklist of the steps that is known?
Good question.
Well, and she begins what amounts to a litany, right? And she says, first, the heroes are summoned. Next, the heroes demonstrate their gifts. Next, the heroes consult the powers. The powers give the heroes the quest. The quest then becomes the central focus of the heroes until the turn, at which point one of the heroes dies. Sorry, she says. Those that survive the turn then can rise above the problem of evil and vanquish it forever. No hero has made it that far.
God damn.
Have some made it to the turn? And what do they mean by the
almost
turn?
all make it to the turn,
And then someone
some
dies.
great calamity befalls them.
Someone dies.
What do they
All
mean
of
by
them die, she
turn?
says.
Like, is it like I shapeshift into a different form, or
The turn is more, and she stops. She thinks about the way to say that. She says, I believe the turn is more symbolic of a transformation or a change in circumstance, but not a physical transformation. For example, she says, during the last onslaught, the last of the heroes fought at the bulwark, and they fell to a man, to the point where their bodies were not recovered for a year before they were finally laid to rest. Those heroes, there were 5 of them. None of them survived.
And that's terrible.
Yeah. So their turn wasn't a transformation into some other thing so much as it was the
Transformation
tide of battle
from
that
alive
turned.
to dead.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. Look,
so
We're
there will
here.
be a trial at the turn that we have to pass
we're
to
here.
then be able to face the greater evil.
This is what's happening.
Oh, right. Your DPS check in the raid, like your raid boss number 2. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do it,
Um,
you guys.
we'll most likely want to confer with multiple powers. Which powers are there to confer with? Obviously, the elves and the goddess. Is there any others?
Technically, and she says technically in a sort of like drawn out way. Like she doesn't exactly want to
God damn
give
it.
you bad news, but she has bad news. And she says technically there were 4 great powers.
Nice.
There were the gods, there were the elves, there were the dwarves, and she says, and then of course there is the dark one.
No. Let's do this.
Clarify the last one.
It's not really relevant anymore. But you could call the Dark One a god, I suppose. The Dark One came from elsewhere. Much like you heroes, though not summoned by any god. We called it the Dark One because it it appeared as the absence of things.
Right.
It knew things
One that
though,
isn't a thing.
and if you asked it the right questions, it would give you true answers. If you asked it the wrong questions, it could not answer truthfully.
Ah, spooky.
You know what? It sounds like a computer.
Spooky.
It almost sounds like Wish.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Dark One has not been seen since the Ghostlands.
Ghostlands? What are you just
Oh.
burying a bunch of leads right before it's like we're, 4 hours in?
Hey,
What
I'm
was-
not the one who put off meeting the exposition character for 3 fucking sessions, guys. Come on.
You
Just
know what?
saying, we're rolling up on 3 hours 45 minutes, and you just dropped Ghostlands, Dark One, Ghostlands. The fuck?
Meow, meow, meow.
So-
Well, that's why you go watch them afterward.
Meow,
The
meow.
map that Wraithlander showed us showed that there was a port town in the Ghostlands. Was that the last place that it was seen?
Correct. She nods and she says, "The Ghostlands were once called the Southern Kingdom, kin to Galander. That is until and she like what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I'm dying here myself. It's late. She stumbles for a minute.
Focused on it. Right. Choked
right.
on what she's saying.
Right, and she says, "The Ghostlands became the Ghostlands when the balefire was lit."
Hellfire. That's a third term.
The balefire. She stops and she thinks about it for a moment, and she says, "Well, I suppose it was meant to be a spell. It didn't work, or if it did, then the king of the Southern Kingdoms was a madman by the time the balefire was lit. When the fire had finished consuming the Ghostlands, there was nothing left but, well, ghosts."
Damn, I didn't lace that roll. Do I get a window? Ghostlands.
I am focusing on all of what she's been talking about to see if I could get any query pops.
Me too. That's what I said. Ghostlands.
Yeah. The Southern Kingdom was, until an event called the Balefire, ruled by the cousin of the Emperor of Galander as a sort of vassal kingdom. Titularly, hereditarily, it was always passed to the cousin line of the Emperor. It lasted almost as long as the Galander Imperium itself. However, it fell roughly 40 years before the Imperium did. Nobody knows why the balefire was lit. Magicians, specifically the mystics of Talar, reported that the entire region's magical flow is completely disrupted, and that
The wizard did it.
and that magic in the region is corrupt even to this day.
Evil wizard did it.
Yeah, nobody goes to the Ghostlands.
Nobody goes to the Ghostlands.
If I focus on the Bellfire, do I get any additional pop-ups about it?
Yeah. So the balefire, if you do the equivalent of mentally clicking the hyperlink, is a magical event that seemed to sever the connection to the weave in the entire region, and instead replaced the weave with a sort of with its opposite, a sort of negative energy.
Holy crap, reveal. What kind of exposition is this?
All the good questions, sir. All the good questions.
It is effectively now a region of wild magic.
You're a region of wild magic.
I am.
If it's a region of wild magic, why is there not more forest?
I I don't mean wild as in fey magic. I
No,
mean
he means
wild as
wild
in
like it's
completely chaotic and
uncontrolled. Right.
uncontrolled. Yeah.
Okay, my
Uncontrolled,
bad.
chaotic magic.
I knee jerk reaction the wrong way. My bad. Sounds like we need to go to Talara and the Ghostlands.
Ghostlands.
Nobody
I'm gonna
goes
write
to
a
the Ghostlands.
song. It's gonna be about the Ghostlands. Boom, 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 boom.
What's so?
It's gonna
What-
have like
what
English
drives
accents
people
and a whole
from
lot
there?
of like echo. The ghosts, probably. I think it's the ghosts.
Yeah, I mean primarily. Yeah, but Alestri, she says, actually, when we say nobody goes to the Ghostlands, we don't mean literally nobody. In fact, there is a fairly, and she says robust sort of sardonically, but a fairly robust trade in corrupted artifacts that come out of the Ghostlands. So clearly people are still going in there.
And surely false ones too that look like others that came out of there. Maybe have some Dwemer. Dwemer. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean.
Falsehood.
Some sort
Anyways,
of like, yeah, some spell. So when I look at it, it looks like it's magical, but it's really not. It's really just
Right.
some clay
Right.
bullshit.
What did you
Ghostland
mean?
artifacts are actually relatively easy to spot, she says, in that they tend to be, you know, incredibly mundane things that do incredibly bizarre things, like a fork that
I'm gonna
when
say a fork that
stabbed
makes your
into
fucking
the,
noodles perfect.
you know, that when stabbed into the ground for some reason teleports you to the pugnatorium.
But okay.
Right. A comb that when brushed through your hair makes you forget your worst memory.
Oh, that's sick. I want one of those, please. Can I have one of those?
She says that one was actually particularly dangerous.
IRL like? I would like one of those. That'd be dope.
Because eventually you take out so many of your bad memories, all you have left is the good, and it'll start consuming those. But also consuming your bad memories, it would take
so
away the
lovely.
pain and the lessons that you learned from the bad memories, so it would actually make you less of the person that you originally truly
Yes.
were.
Right. She nods. She says, you stop being who you are.
Delicious.
She says, generally speaking, fake artifacts from the Ghostlands tend to be much more grandiose. In fact, if someone is claiming that they have, you know, a sword guaranteed to slay a dragon with a single strike, that didn't come from the Ghostlands.
Right. They're more like those low, spooky things.
So if you had a mirror that when you looked in it, you saw how you looked when you were old or when you were young,
Oh, creepy.
That would be more of a tool from the Ghostland.
Absolutely, she says.
I got my tool from
Reminds me of a mirror that when you looked in it, you saw the face of the thing you desired the most.
Spooky.
Or a marble that gravitates towards west rather than straight down.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That sort of thing. I've never seen something like that, but that sort of thing could be found in the Ghostlands for sure.
Neat. Interesting. Well.
So it goes back to the point of why does no one, I mean, you say no one goes there, but it seems people are going there.
Right.
No one stays there. No one stays there that lives.
Yeah.
At least that you're aware of?
I suppose, guys, that means that we're going to show up
She sort of shrugs at that and she says, I suppose.
soon.
Well, the only reason I mentioned is that the map that Wraithander showed us showed that there was at least 4 villages in the Ghostlands.
Oh, that's the thing about the balefire, she says. It didn't destroy anything but the people.
That's pretty nasty.
Wonderful. 222.
So
what was that supposed to protect them from?
Maybe it was, maybe they left with the weave somewhere else, and the anti-weave is some other dimension that if we were to restore it, it would just reappear. Or did we actually see like the burned bodies of everyone after?
No, she says, I don't think I've ever read anybody discovering a body.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, it might still be out there in some alternate version of that land or something.
Right.
We'll probably figure it out when we get there.
Okay, so let's take this back to square one where we're sitting right now. Things we need to do is get to the church. One of us needs to get to the church, get the books that a tome from there, so we can get those people.
She raises a finger. She says, actually, what I need you to do is significantly more specific than that.
Okay. I like having a task list.
If you're going to infiltrate the church for me, first of all, let's talk about rules. One, I don't know you. I absolutely did not hire you. No one in the kingdom of Galander has ever worked with you. And if you are caught, I will make sure you are put to death.
I just laugh at this point. I just laugh. I laugh.
That's pretty standard. Okay. You don't know me, I don't know you.
Excellent. Well, that aside, I need you to get to a deacon's office, a deacon's quarters. What I absolutely need is I need to figure out where where we can find the truth. If you bring me back books, I don't think I'm going to find it. Do you know what I'm saying? No, they're not going to keep the evidence of what they're doing there, but they may discuss it. They may have a process or an organizational structure related to this effort that can be uncovered with the right kind of prying eyes or ears. I don't necessarily need a book per se. What I need to know is if there's something foul afoot and who's involved.
Okay. So
Right. All right. So we're gonna steal some information.
So you're needing espionage. That would most likely be me and Phaleon. I can walk in, he drops off and runs around. I can let my cupcake help. Oh,
Like it's a slightly raised eyebrow.
All right. Right.
I showed my cupcake.
Yeah, okay. She goes, you don't eat that, right?
It's the muffin.
It's my little buddy. I can share
That's
vision with it, and it can run around.
Quest muffin.
that's bizarre.
Well, our gifts
Um,
manifest in very interesting ways.
Indeed.
Oh, would you like a good berry? They're kind of tasty.
Welcome to the Goodberry, home of the Goodberry.
That's funny. I mean, if you offer, she'll take it.
If you eat that, it'll be a full meal, and it will regenerate your health.
Yeah, just like a good burger.
I mean, they're perfectly safe, and I'll eat one in front of her if she doesn't believe me.
Oh no, she's not worried about that. She's probably not hungry.
Okay.
Yeah. So she says the other alternative is perhaps to shadow the absolvers. I know from speaking with Rayfander that the resolvers meet weekly at the church. At least those who are not attached to foreign service. If you could eavesdrop on a meeting of the absolvers, or perhaps follow the deacons who officiate those meetings, you're more likely to find the right people, because the absolvers are, for lack of a better way to put it, the hand of the church.
Right.
If there is a dissemination of information, some amount of the absolvers must be involved. I don't think that they would be the ones actually authoring any such deceptive information, but surely they can't all be operating in ignorance. I assume that Rifander, if any of this theory is true and not just insanity, I assume that Rifander is in the dark explicitly because Rifander is, well,
Radical.
a bit of a loon.
Right. Happy with where he is right now.
I don't know that
No.
I would use those words.
He's a radical. He's not.
He's
He
the church's
questions.
Fox Mulder, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's his Dana Scully?
I want to believe.
I think you're talking to her.
Yeah, I think it's right. Exactly.
Yeah, I was
Exactly.
kind of wondering
It's
about
our
myself.
quest giver.
Okay, so sounds like our job's gonna be twofold. When do they normally meet? Do you know?
She nods. She says, well, generally it would be after services. Services are on 5th day. So either the night of 5th day or perhaps the next day? No, it has to be the night of 5th day because on 6th day they officiate the rest.
Gotcha.
I'm just going for system clock. What day is it and what time is it?
It is 3rd day and it is presently oh gosh, you guys have probably been talking for like 25, 30 minutes, maybe even longer. So it's probably like 12:40.
Okay, 12 bells. Excellent. Okay, so if this is day 3, means we have 2 days to not get into trouble and make it where things get complicated. Would it be a good idea to get the text beforehand? Actually, yeah, it would be because we'll be able to peruse the location, figure out plans, and
Right. I was going to say, at this point, you guys don't even know the layout of the church. So you wouldn't even know where they're meeting without doing some recon.
Right.
right. Question: is there a location that would have set perchance the blueprints of the church?
Oh, only the church itself, I would imagine. I mean, between you and I, uh, the hill there, I mean, it's not even technically part of the city.
It's its own separate entity in a sense.
Correct. They have their own sovereignty.
Exactly.
That's a little unusual. Okay. That must make it very uncomfortable for all of you.
Well, the Kingdom of Galander has a generally good relationship with the church. That said, it is a pain in my ass because while we run the Knights Army, we also run the City Guard.
In anything involving them, you have to contact their guard as well, I would think.
Literal international incident.
Oh, the paperwork on that has to be hellish.
Precisely.
Oh, and that's in your own backyard.
She said, she sort of like chuckles self-deprecatingly, and she says, that was the first 3 years of my captaincy, in fact, was dealing with that exact problem.
And how many of the novices did you want to kill?
You have no idea.
There wouldn't be a church?
If you had asked me then, I'd have burned it to the ground for you.
Oh, for the love of the goddess.
Indeed.
Alrighty then. So we're gonna have to case the place, figure some things out. I doubt you're going to want us coming through the front door like we did today.
Yeah, so she kind of looks you over one last time, and actually she even gives Jory a look, and she says,
Yeah.
"It would be better if we contacted you. Where are you staying in the city?"
The Whispering
Surely you're
Wind.
not homeless.
No, we're over
We're
by
starting-
the docks at the Whispering Wind.
You know, where they're friendly to beast people.
Oh, the beast people.
Weeping
Inn.
Wind.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah, she knew what you meant. And
I'm sure she did.
She says, "Very well. I will send. She thinks about it for a moment. She says, "I'll send Rizelle to work with you. She'll be my liaison."
All right then. Send your Twix.
What does she look like? Who are we going to be looking for?
She's not hard to miss. She sort of stops and smiles to herself. She says, "She'll be the redhead kicking everybody's ass."
Indeed. Well then, we should go.
I'm gonna ask the stupid question because I have to ask the stupid question. Human?
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't like operating under assumptions. I like asking questions. Accuracy is important to this sort of thing.
Twitch.
You know what? If my life is on the line, I want to make sure I have all the information so I can make an informed decision so I can kill the right thing that needs to be killed.
Yeah, you know, if you didn't ask, I was gonna ask anyway, because you never want to mix things
Make
up.
the wrong. Yeah, you don't want to make the wrong.
We've all seen the stories where you get the wrong person as the contact, and you hand it off to someone who is knowingly or unknowingly going to receive something they shouldn't and be imperiled for it. Yes. No,
Cloak and dagger, man. Cloak and dagger.
That's
I've seen
funny,
Fred
yep.
Savage.
Exactly.
Well, all right. I think this is probably a good time for us to wrap up. I'm sure you're going to want to sleep or maybe just
We're
all
at
night.
4 hours. 4 hours in. I'm pretty sure Snipey's at 3:30 a.m. and Watts is 4:30 or 3:30.
Yo.
Yep, 4:30, right?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Love you, mean it.
Yeah, this was fun.
It was a good sesh. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Snipe.
Yeah, thanks for
Hunter,
playing,
and
everybody.
Thanks for staying up late.
Yeah.
Definitely. It was
Anybody
fun.
watching? Thank you for watching.
And this is going to finish the expose, and we'll actually be in episode 5 next time.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff's happening.
All right. Good stuff.
It took so long for that exposition done.
I know, right? I know.
And we didn't. I
happens.
don't think we didn't get all of the expose.
Oh, I mean, you at least understand where your guys are going and what you need. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
you're in a good spot.
All right. I'm
We
gonna
need to rebuild
end the
these
stream
credits.
here. So see you
So,
later, everybody
Cable-
out there.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.